your radio. Whoa. Cutting Edge is on your stereo. Yeah. Mutabaruka leads the way. So just you let the station play. Yeah. Say your teachings got to hold on me. Yeah. Well, this is Kimani and you're listening to, Mutabaruka. IRFM, Cutting Edge. Whoa!
Bagabo. Long time we don't hear them word there. This is the Cutting Edge on IRFM. We're there with you on next Wednesday. We're going to go straight till 3 o'clock. Yes, you hear me right. We're going straight till 3 o'clock. The Eccles, man. The man is when it come out to all politics, believe you me, them man stand up in a Michael man like Kana, like a trust me man, yes. Clancy Eccles, the late great Clancy Eccles. So say, entire play a tune kind of schizophrenic. So we give you one of them long time tune, and then we give you one of them new time tune. Big music this, big music, big music. Not since Angola, believe you me, I tell you the truth, Jabooks come with that tune in Angola and it ripped down the place. 1 year. Pure Angola, yes. Well, it's that tune where we are playing now. At it time, Yes. And straight up there we are sending that one, Yes. It gone already still, but trust me, man, that tune,
God's wonderful people, I am calling. God's wonderful.
Brethren named King Fragrance. This is a big tune.
God's wonderful people.
In my estimation. King Fragrance, you're gone with that one, Trust me, man. Yeah, man. Sweet. And them tune, Yeah, man, and them tune, man. So here we are saying now, as we are talking about Africa.
Every year, the smallest country in Africa holds an international reunion. Most of these people attending the festival have probably never met before, but they will all share something in common. Purest love for their motherland dearest, Africa. Also, the heritage which goes back to the days of slavery. A shameful trade which led to the separation of their true history, identity, cultural traditions, while preventing unity amongst them and the African continent. The people of the Gambia have come out to welcome their cousins from around the world. This is what brought these people more than 5,000 miles across the world. The true culture of Africa. The reunion creates an atmosphere in which sweet and sometimes bitter memories are revisited.
When we think about the numerous people that were kept here, it just seems that it's overwhelming that on such a small piece of land that so many people were enslaved. And it's kind of overwhelming to see.
But most importantly, it commences the evolvement of great friendship and partnership, creating more gateways for development.
We look forward to being here for so long. I've been working on the Roots Festival since last November when it was first introduced to us. And I've brought down quite a large delegation. There are at least approximately about 140 of us scattered throughout the several hotels. We are very privileged to be down here. A lot of us, it's our first time and it's like a dream come true. A lot of the people are Afro-Americans and Afro-Caribbean descendants, and they want this to be their home. They're looking to put down some permanent roots, investment opportunities. We've come to, with us teachers, nurses. We'd like to be swapping ideas and helping people we can help and contributing to the Gambia and the developments. We look forward to coming back year after year with more and more people. And as I say, we're happy to be here.
It's educational and it's entertaining. This and much more is what the annual International Roots Festival entails. Undoubtedly sees to the success of each annual festival is the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Chap Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh, who officially inaugurated this event back in 1996, just 2 years after he assumed office. Among his invitees were Africans in the diaspora who, as seeing is believing, came to get a glimpse and a taste of the true Africa.
To our brothers and sisters from America, Latin America, the Caribbean and Europe, I would like to say, home at last. It's been a very long time, and we hope this time around, our next meeting will not take 300 years to occur. I pay tribute to the late Alex Haley, who, after many years of diligent research, including several visits to the Gambia, published his book, The Roots, in 1975, narrating how he traced his forefathers to the village of Dukure in the Gambia. Through this book and the subsequent television series, the eyes of the world followed the trials and tribulations of Haley's family from a rebellious African named Kunta Kinte.
After 12 years of research and writing, Alex Haley shaded light to the true story of African Americans. In 1975, he wrote the famous novel entitled Roots, which was later turned into a television series. The series was first aired on ABC TV in 1977. Roots received 37 Emmy Award nominations and won 9. Alex Haley discovered his roots in West Africa, the Gambia, in a small village called Ufure. During your Roots pilgrimage to James Island in Ufure, the ancestral home of Alex Haley, you'll have the opportunity to meet Alex Haley's sixth cousin, Binta Kinte. The idea of renaming James Island has been in the minds of most people that visited the island over the past years.
I don't like to call it James Island because it's not James Island. I don't know what it's called. That's why I said to the gentleman before, find the proper name.
But it was until Charles Guest gave his opinion that it was endorsed and decided.
I was brought to this island, and I went down in the little dungeon where they held the strongest Africans there, and I might add that a butterfly followed me on the boat all the way from Jufre to here, just right by my side, that I found very symbolic and very, because I played with caterpillars when I was a boy, and so that was like the whole thing that was about to occur that I had no idea that was going to happen when I arrived on this island. When I went down in the one dungeon, tears started coming down, and I'm a 220-pound guy. I don't cry very easily, but I was deeply, deeply touched. And the thing that brought the tear, because I thought that these beautiful African strong men, how could that happen? And if it wasn't for guns and evil ideas, it wouldn't. And that caused me to sort of like break down. But when I came out of there, I was reborn, as that butterfly showed me that I was going to morph into a very voiceful person. I would never be able to stand here and even speak to you before, but I have a message. And that message is, it was depicted in my paintings, but now I found the strength to say that this is no longer James Island. This is from this day on Kunta Kinte Island. I said that, and I took that message to His Excellency, His Excellency Yahya Jammeh, and now I see all of this happening, which is so beautiful. Everyone coming together, doing their part, and the idea was it was in the air for sure. But for me to come out of there and voice that, and to be standing here now with the beginnings of this sculpture that I created in New York City and brought on the airplane, unfinished, to be on this island is nothing but a blessing from Allah.
The occasion today is indeed historic and significant for two reasons. Firstly, we are here on a spiritual and cultural pilgrimage to pay homage to Kunta Kinte and his descendants. Secondly, we are today on the threshold of reaching yet another milestone in Gambian history, that is the renaming of James Island. James Island epitomized the darkest days of the transatlantic slave trade. It was the last port of call on African soil for millions of Africans rudely abducted by the ruthless. Indeed, as alluded to by my Deputy Permanent Secretary before, if this island was able to speak about the atrocities committed against Africans from the time of its inception in 1456 to the mid-19th century, the tale will be too horrendous to listen to. However, we still know a lot about the island's role in the evil trade, and over the years, a lot has been done to document, preserve, and disseminate it to the public. This culminated in the island's inscription into the prestigious UNESCO World Heritage List in 2003 because of its outstanding universal value to humankind. By renaming James Island, we wish to keep alive the memory of Kunta Kinte and all the millions of African slaves who have passed through it on their way to the Americas as slaves.
I would also hereby officially declare that James Island, as from today, Sunday, the 6th of February 2011, is renamed Kunta Kinte Island.
On Sunday, the 6th of February 2011, the island was renamed to Kunta Kinte Island to keep alive the memory of the brave Kunta Kinte, the great-grandfather of Alex Haley. Ethnic diversity has undoubtedly given the Gambia a unique identity. The people of the Gambia are drawn from more than 10 common tribes, each tribe with its own language, each with its own rich tradition and a history with which they can trace their ancestries. Even though their upbringing may seem different from the way other African descendants were brought up in the diaspora, there always remains that sense of similarity and familiarity amongst all.
And then we found some Jamaican things that we say, like I've been listening to our Muslim family, and the things they're coming out with, I'm saying that's Jamaican. You know, lots of words, like, well, it could be that way from here.
The forthcoming International Roots Festival will be marked by loads of mind-blowing and memorable events. You'll be taken on a pilgrimage to Kunta Kinte Island, where you'll see vestiges of the slave trade, a trip down memory lane, and don't be surprised if you tear out during the entire tour.
I think I share that sentiment, you know, being in that little room where they said they kept bad slaves who wouldn't cooperate until they got, docile or passive or whatever, until they could put them on the ship. Just kind of speaks to the cruelty of the whole thing. It makes it more real. You know, we think about it in the abstract, being Americans, but being here gives us the opportunity to just kind of flesh that out and really appreciate the inhumanity of it, I guess. So it's been a good experience for us.
The spiritual journey will also take you through a heritage trail that leads to San Domingo, a former Portuguese settlement where the occupiers had their gardens and symmetry. You'll be entertained with African music, cultural performances, among many other activities. In addition to the friendliness and cultural activities you'll enjoy from the Gambian people, you'll be well taken care of in good quality hotels. The accommodations are designed to give you maximum relaxation and unforgettable experience. participate in Roots Redemption Day. Registration is now being accepted. If you would like to attend, please visit our website at rootsgambia.gm for more details. Come home. Reconnect. Reaffirm your African heritage. Rediscover your roots. And be at one with your people. The 11th International Roots Festival, 9th to 17th of May, 2014.
R.E.F.M. Thought-provoking. Always smoking. Lyrics like
the famous conscious reggae dance. Well, it is called today, it will be called Conscious Reggae Dance Party and Gambia Fundraising Dinner. Will take place on Friday, May the 2nd at Cafe Africa. That is part Regal Theatre, usually they call it Regal Plaza now at Crossroads. And feature will be Luciano. You know, Luciano went to Gambia to that festival. Mikey General also went to Gambia. We have poetess Sharon Paris will be there. We have Caveman. Yellow Caveman. Why Yellow Caveman? You know, trust me, man. Why Yellow Caveman? And we have, I think Sizzla is the reggae ambassador for the festival. So we see that Sizzla will also be there tomorrow also, and yours truly will be there. So a lot of the ones them who is on this program here is either going or have been there before. This is the Cutting Edge on RFM.
And money transfer can 24/7. No more love.
Yeah, man, you see me? I'm me name right lane. I'm a doctor name do road. Respect and manners, you see me? We respect everybody. 5 of them, transport them. All of the people that will roll with me at daytime. But you don't know, say, a tropical battery will big up and respect most of all. Because while everybody else has stop with, a tropical battery give it the start and give it the go. Visit us today at any store island-wide for unbeatable prices and best after-sales services. Tropical batteries, stronger for longer since 1950.
R.E.F.M. Thought-provoking. Always smoking. Lyrics like a bazooka. You are listening to Mutabaruka.
My phone rang. And when I answered it, it was Kojo Namdi, the journalist. And his words to me were, "What you doing?" I said, "Just here at home." He said, "You sitting or you standing?" I thought it rather strange. I said, "I'm actually lying in bed." He said, "Ah, good." He said, "Boy, they just killed Walter."
The Prime Minister of Jamaica, a black man, he looks black anyway, he was approached with a request to let African history and an African language, Swahili, be taught in the schools. And he said, "No, we can't have any of that." He gave some reason, a curious reason, something about there being so many different races in Jamaica. Very curious. 95% of the people are black, but he can't teach an African language.
On a Sunday morning, there could be 200, 300 people just sitting around.
He was expelled from Jamaica because the intelligence services reported to their political bosses that he was conspiring with Rastafarians to attack tourists. And it was on that basis, in fact, that the Jamaican cabinet met in October 1968 and declared him persona non grata.
When Walter Dr. Rodney was banned from Jamaica in 1968, the Manleys were silent and they were complicit in the ban. And the Michael Manley, even when he was a radical, as a socialist, never lifted the ban from Walter Rodney.
They were accumulating weapons, they were accumulating equipment of various kinds. A certain amount of that was coming from the military. Whenever someone is about to make a gift to you of a Beretta, you can't send someone to collect it. This is what CLR, I think, was attempting to say.
What Burnham was hoping is that the anti-personnel bomb, because it was a walkie-talkie, that Walter would have somebody close to the whole part of his body, and as it blew his head off, so he couldn't be identified, and they could have played a game which they had planned to play. That Walter and dead man, he must have gone to Africa. This man's run the country, even though Bibi got his passport. I think Burnham was so insensitive. That was his scenario.
I have absolute faith in truth. The only eyewitness, the brother of the late Dr. Rodney, said that the car was parked, said that they had obtained illegally a walkie-talkie and they were fiddling with it. Well, it's left to your prejudices as to whether you believe it's a walkie-talkie they were attempting to obtain. And then further, significantly, they were parked near the jail, Now, what complicity do we have in it?
But my position is that Walter's death is a political assassination, that Walter's death must be seen as something positive, and if the government wants to hold on to the body, they can bury themselves.
REFM, thought-provoking, always smoking, lyrics like a bazooka. You are listening to Mutabaruka.
Dealt with, comprehensive and closure provided in this matter.
With those words, the government's chief spokesperson, Dr. Roger Lungeon, announced the reason President Donald Ramotar intends to rope in international experts to probe the death of Dr. Walter Rodney 33 years ago. Dr. Rodney, known as a historian and political activist, was killed on June 13, 1980, when a bomb exploded in the car he was traveling in. He was 38 years old at the time. Rodney's brother, who suffered injuries during the explosion, claimed that an army officer named Gregory Smith had given Rodney the bomb which killed him. Smith escaped to French Guiana, where he died 11 years ago. There have been claims that Rodney's assassination was set up by the government of Forbes Burnham, whom Rodney was opposed to. Burnham's party, the PNC, continues to vehemently deny those allegations. The current government believes that the matter of how exactly Rodney was killed and by whom needs to be settled once and for all, and his family is the one coming up with the information that fueled the decision of the president to set up the International Commission of Inquiry.
The family has presented and is presenting substantial arguments for this matter, his murder, his assassination, to be inquired into definitively and to bring an end to the speculation that surrounds the cause, involvement, and of course motives.
After his assassination, Rodney received several honors. Among them, in 1993, the government of Dr. Cheddi Jagan posthumously gave Rodney the country's highest national award, the Order of Excellence, and the Walter Rodney Chair in History was established at the University of Guyana. For Capital News, Neil Marks.
Yes, Walter Rodney is in the news again because there is a commission that is being put in place to examine this assassination and the events surrounding this killing of one of Africa's great Pan-Africanists who came to Jamaica and ground with the Rastafari brethren and sisters in them. Now, the thing about it that I used to go school when I hear about this thing. And I remember Hugh Lawson Shearer. And we have to talk about Hugh Lawson Shearer. He was the blackest prime minister that Jamaica had ever seen. Even though when him leave office, him was very, very brown. I don't know how them man there start out in a one color and reach a next color, but apart from that, well, those of you who don't name who name you last year right now, get a $5,000 bill. Cause them man they gone on all money, you know. Get a $5,000 bill and you will see who name you last Shearer. Walter Rodney. A lot of ones who listen to this program might not know who is Walter Rodney. There is a book, it's famous book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. Big book when we are at school. Because at them book they were read when we are at school in them time there. Teenager youth, them are read them book there. How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. And I remember a little one named Grounding with My Brothers. And I know that Rupert Lewis wrote a book about him. But we want to just say it's ironical that the blackest prime minister where Jamaica ever saw was the one that was responsible for not even realizing that the people in Jamaica were of African stock. So when the call was made for an African language, it was a no-no. As a matter of fact, it was Hugh Lawson Shearer who banned all black books referring to blackness and Africanness in the island. I remember we had to throw away a whole heap of book down the gully because just as we move it out of the place, and we can't call the man them name now because it's gone long time. Remember Ben Broody, remember Laxley Comrie, remember Julian Jingles. And as a school youth, me I move amongst them man there, and when the cry go out say them are going to raid the place, we did have to move out the book them. Because if police catch you with them book, there's like them catch you with ganja. Them book they get banned. The autobiography of Malcolm X. We tear off the cover off of the book and put one little novel cover upon it. That's when we are read it. People believe there's a little love fiction we are read, not knowing that it was the autobiography of Malcolm X. We couldn't wear any colors that look like Marcus Garvey color under the blackest prime minister. The blackest prime minister banned the books them that was deemed to be dealing with blackness, because in a freedom thinking, Jamaica is a out of many one people country. Therefore, there was no need. Just like how we say, a young politician named Damian Crawford come now and say there's no need for a Black History Month. This thing is a perpetual thing, you know. It's a perpetual thing. Because I know that Damian Crawford, in a during Shearer time, maybe never born, I was a little boy. And now him come echo one of the same sentiments that Black History Month is relevant in America, it's not relevant here. So Shearer say African language is not relevant here. Only people are asking why we want to learn, why we want to change the name to African name and we are Jamaican, not realizing that Macintosh is an Irish name and none of we have any connection with. We want to talk to Brother Wazir Mohammed. Good night.
Hi, good night. How are you doing?
Just giving a little preamp to the conversation here, because we was very young when this Walter Rodney thing brung up in Jamaica, and that is the blackest prime minister that Jamaica has ever seen, Hugh Lawson Shearer, who banned every book that deal with black. Remember, Black Power by Stokely Carmichael was banned. The autobiography of Malcolm X was banned, and all of these books was banned.
And Walter Rodney was banned.
And Walter Rodney was also banned by the same prime minister. Okay, so 30 odd years after, we say that this is a setup here now that is going to investigate and try to come to grips and understand the events that took place in that time. Tell me how it's going to work, or how they're going to work this.
Well, there is a three-man commission that has been set up, three-person commission, headed by a Barbadian jurist by the name of Cheltenham. On it is another Trinidadian jurist by the name of Sinat Jairam. And then there is a Jamaican jurist, a woman, Brown. So they're sitting in Guyana. Their first session this week. They're meeting for 4 days this week. They began on Monday. Today being May Day. They're not going to meet today, but they're going to conclude their first session on Friday. And then they said that they're going to meet again at the end of May. I don't know for how long. Yeah. But they're taking evidence from witnesses who have something to say about the events that led up to the assassination of Walter Rodney. So that is what is going on. I mean, the commission is meeting publicly. The hearings are streamed live on the internet. It's open to the public.
Okay, you can tell us. Okay, yes. How we go about that? How we go get it?
Well, you can get it. It's streamed live on the internet on NCN Television Guyana.com.
NCN, okay.
NCN,
Guyana. Yeah.
NCN, National Communication Network of Guyana,
yes.
Television. Anybody can Google that on the internet and be able to access the live stream.
Right.
I could send you a link for that.
Yes.
By email.
Okay.
So if you send me an email,
yeah, you can send it,
and we can be reached at Justice for Walter Rodney at gmail.com.
Okay, Justice for Walter Rodney at gmail.com.
That yes. One word, Justice for Walter Rodney at gmail.com. We have established an international committee to educate people and to bring pressure on this commission to ensure that it does its work.
Yeah. All right.
So we call. Yeah.
No, continue.
So we are calling on all friends of Walter Rodney, friends of social justice, people who are interested in the future of the working people, to pay attention to this process.
Yes. All right.
Any member of the public, anybody, any organization, any institution can access the commission, can write to the Commission of Inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
The Commission of Inquiry's email address is Walter Rodney Secretariat at gmail.com.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you a question now.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Burnham has been pointed at over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Most people have come to that conclusion in their mind that it was the government that did this terrible act.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get a clear understanding of it, considering that we have already put that in our minds that is the government of Charles Burnham?
Well, this investigation is supposed to get to the bottom of that.
Yes.
But I mean, there are several questions that we need to ask.
For instance?
If there is a government in power and there is a crime in which a major figure is killed, then what is the government's responsibility is to ensure that its policing agencies conduct a full investigation.
Yes.
Now, let me just, on the first day of testimony in the commission, the crime chief of the country who came to testify brought the police records. He said that there were 10 files that the police kept on this matter, 7 of which has disappeared. They cannot account for.
Oh.
Now, the chairman of the commission asked them, well, in Guyana, what do you do with old files? And they said, well, they handle files internally and they destroy old files. And the chairman said, well, in a normal country, old files, especially important files like this, would be sent to the National Archives. The problem here has to do with the failure of the state, and Burnham was in charge of the state, of the government. Donald Rodney, Walter Rodney's brother, who was in the car at the time of the explosion with him, was able to report that the device, whatever the device was given to Walter Rodney by a member of the Guyana of the Army by the name of Gregory Smith. Now, he fingered Gregory Smith from day one of this killing, and the police has failed under Burnham to bring a charge against Gregory Smith when everyone knew where he was, that he had been he had gone over to French Guyana and was living there in exile, and that is where he died.
Okay.
So the question of whether Burnham is responsible or not, or who is responsible, will have to come out of this inquiry. But the questions that we have to ask is, why didn't the government under him try to bring Gregory Smith so that he can answer the questions that needed to be asked in any police investigation?
Yes. All right. But, all right, we're seeing something happen 30 odd years ago, and now we're seeing that they're doing these things. What is it just a matter of going through a thing to say, okay, now we know what happened, and that is it? What we intend to get out of it more than the gratification that we went to the bottom of it and now we know that this is what it's supposed to be?
Well, this is not about gratification. This brings out the nature of the state, the nature of policing agencies, the way that they deal with people in countries like this.
Yes. Jamaica too. We have a big problem with that in Jamaica.
Right.
Maybe so bigger than Guyana too.
Yes.
Yes.
So, it is the nature of the way the police operate.
Yes.
The nature, and we have to address those structures. Because people, Walter Rodney was killed 34 years ago.
Yes.
But then that structure of the police continues to exist, and the nature of that system is there. And investigations like this help us to be able to address those structural problems.
Yes. So how long you think that this exercise will take place?
This exercise, I can't, the way it is going, and it is going very slow.
Okay.
It will be several months, if not a year or more. I would assume, from the pace it is going, because they have a lot of work to do.
Yes.
It's 34 years. Many witnesses would not have been living in the jurisdiction anymore.
Yes.
Many important witnesses would have died. They have to piece together the evidence. And we are operating in a situation where in a country where record keeping is not that good.
Yes. So is it that all of this inquiry will take place in Guyana, or there is sessions that will be outside of Guyana?
Well, we who have formed the Justice for Walter Rodney Committee, which includes people from Jamaica and people from Trinidad and Barbados and Tanzania and Kenya and Canada and different countries of the world and Guyana. We have written to the Commission and we have said, look, given the fact that more Guyanese are living abroad than are living at home, and given the fact that so many people migrated because of the political situation in the country in that period, it might be wise, the best thing for you to have hearings in the Caribbean, hearings in North America, and hearings in Europe. They have written to us and said that at the moment they're not contemplating any hearings outside of Guyana.
Oh yeah?
And this would be good for your listeners, that they would be prepared to receive testimony from anyone from any part of the world via Skype or other audio devices.
Okay.
So if there is someone in Jamaica among your listeners who believe that they need to address this commission, they could actually send a letter to the Commission at the email address I give you, Walter Rodney Secretariat at gmail.com, and say, look, I have something to contribute to this inquiry, but I cannot travel to Guyana.
Okay.
What arrangements can we make so that I could speak to you and give evidence?
All right.
And they said that they're willing to accommodate witnesses like that.
All right. The family of Walter Rodney, what is their position in relationship to the commission?
Oh, they are fully in support of the commission.
Okay.
And they have lawyers
justified.
Yes, they have lawyers.
They feel that it is possible to actually get to the bottom of it, because we in Jamaica, we don't trust these commissions, so we want to try to find out if in Guyana
the people in Guyana also don't trust commission.
Okay.
So we have to look at these. That is why we have to be vigilant.
Yes.
That is why we have formed the Justice for Walter Rodney Committee. To get people to be vigilant.
Yes.
To have programs like this that talks about what is going on, that put public pressure on the Commission to do its work. It is why we have asked the Commission to invite international observers.
Okay.
To invite the Caribbean Bar Association, the Guyana Bar Association, human rights groups. If there are human rights groups in Jamaica, your listeners should ask them. So to tell the Commission,
get involved, yes,
that we want to be involved.
Yes.
What we want to see is groups saying to this Commission, we have an interest and a stake in this inquiry.
Yeah.
So if your listeners, people listening to this program, know of people who are involved in the Bar Association, in human rights and social justice groups, then they should ask those groups to write letters to the Commission.
Of course, yes, definitely.
Saying that we want to pay attention to what you're doing and we want to be given observer status.
Yes.
To observe what you're doing.
All right.
And anybody can write to the Walter Rodney Secretariat at gmail.com.
All right. Let us dress forward a little. And there's a group of people that I know listen to this program that them never born when Walter Rodney get assassinated, because it is 30-year-old. So they might figure
I was only 22.
Well, them never born. So
right.
All right. So they might be hearing and say, so who them talk about? Who named Walter Rodney? Give us a little synopsis of who is Walter Rodney? Why should we be interested in Walter Rodney? And why should young people now grasp this as part of their struggle in relationship to something that happened before them born? Who is this Walter Rodney really?
Walter Rodney was a Guyana scholar. He came from very humble beginnings. His parents were working people. So he's a normal person. He was a normal person who got a Guyana scholarship and who went to London to study. And he studied at the school of University of London School of Oriental and African Studies. So he concentrated his studies on the condition of the African people. And so one of his major works is what is called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. In that book, he showed what colonialism did to Africa and how the development of Europe have to do with the underdevelopment of Africa. That Africa is underdeveloped because Europe is developed, because the wealth, he explained the process through which wealth is transferred from ordinary people to rich folks, from Africa to Europe. In that book, he also explained the damage that the slave trade did to the African continent. By the way, Africa is only now recovering from the hemorrhage of people that came as slaves. Yeah. Africa is now recovering its population after, so many hundred years after slavery. So Walter Rodney is an important figure because his work is still relevant. So he studied the conditions in Africa and the condition of African people as people who have been oppressed and marginalized. Yeah. So he came to teach at the University of the West Indies, and while he was at the University of the West Indies in the late 60s, he never confines himself to the university itself. That he was grounding with the what is called grounding with his brothers in the poor communities of Jamaica. And because he was teaching ordinary working people to how to understand their oppression, why they're suffering, the government of Jamaica under Ushera decided to ban him from Jamaica. So he could not work in Jamaica. And then he attempted to return to Guyana to work. And he got an appointment to the University of Guyana. And the government of Guyana decided that also, he's a born Guyanese, decided to rescind his appointment to the University of Guyana. So they said that you cannot work in Guyana also. But as a Guyanese citizen, although they denied him that opportunity to work in Guyana, he remained at home. And he began to teach the working people in Guyana about the reasons why they're oppressed, why their condition is bad.
Wasn't he at one time teaching in Tanzania? Wasn't he one time in Tanzania?
He was also one time in Tanzania at the University of Dar es Salaam. Yeah. So he is this great African scholar that young people, students need to pay attention to. There's a lot of information out there. In fact, in relation to Jamaica, there is a little booklet that is produced by some of his lectures in Jamaica called Groundings with My Brothers.
Yes, very, very important.
And students, young people who were not born in that period, need to read that book. You can Google that book. It is not expensive. And every young child who wants to know who this man Walter Rodney was should get a copy of Grounding with My Brothers.
Definitely. And I would recommend How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, because when I was going
it's a fantastic book.
When I was going to school, that's when I read it. In school, that's where I read it. And not part of the curriculum, but extracurriculum activities that we participated in as youth.
I just read something on the internet today.
Yes.
Where a young girl in an African country, I think she is about in her 20s now, she said that after she read How Europe Underdeveloped Africa for the first time, she said she cried for 3 days. This is how it affects people. The book is old, but is not getting old.
No.
So for university students should force their professors to order that book and have them read it in their classes.
I agree.
And students and professors need to ensure that book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, is studied, because it is now so relevant as the divide between rich and poor continues to expand. Walter Rodney's work becomes important, because we can only solve these problems by studying works from people like Walter Rodney.
Yes. All right, so we see this commission and we're hoping for something good to happen. We hope that it will take the right course, or the course that we feel, over the week since the finance minister mentioned it. There's a lot of alabaloo that have taken place. All different parts of the society came out. And today, we see him draw back that tax thing and say, all right, I'm not going to worry with that. So public pressure is very important to the direction where you want it to go.
The public must pay attention.
Yes.
We have also established a group page on Facebook called Justice for Walter Rodney.
Yes.
And we invite people to join that group and join that discussion, because on that page we're putting the proceedings as it goes, the podcast of the proceedings every day.
Yes.
You see? And people can access that in one place wherever they are in the world.
Okay. All right.
So we also invite people to join us on Facebook. The page is called Justice for Walter Rodney on Facebook.
Justice for Walter Rodney.
Yes.
All right.
Because that's how we bring people together on social media across the world. And what we have to do is continue to share information, build these platforms, and recognize, because Walter Rodney's message was that when the working people joins together, that is the only time the leaders will pay attention. But he says, first of all, we have to join together. That we can't discriminate against each other. That we have to give each other solidarity. And that's the reason he was killed in Guyana, is because he represented unity of the working people. Because he represented that coming together of the main group of the population, who are East Indians, and the single largest minority of the population, who are African Guyanese. And he brought those two groups together. And that represented a new power. And that is why they had to kill him. Because of that newfound power in the society. Because he represented that unity. And that is why Ushera had to ban him from Jamaica. Because he represented that power, where he was able to bring working people together to struggle in their own defense. That is the importance of Walter Rodney.
It's ironical that Walter Rodney assassination and Maurice Bishop assassination seem to follow the same trend in relationship to social and political order that was changing at the time.
Because they represented a new order.
Yes.
It is the new, when the killing of these people have to do with killing that new order.
Yes, yes.
And what young people need to understand is that we have to study the works of these people,
yes,
in order that that new order will live within us and flower and blossom.
Yeah.
You see? And so when we say Walter Rodney live, that is what we mean.
Of course.
That the ideas should live in young people.
Yes.
And so I would invite the young people who are listening to this program to study the life and work of Walter Rodney. Professor Rupert Lewis from the University of the West Indies at Mona has written a book on Walter Rodney.
Yeah, we're going to feature that book next.
Yes.
We're going to feature it next with an interview that he did.
Which carried a lot of Walter Rodney's speeches. You see?
Okay.
So there is a tradition, and young people should access these writings and study them, so that we can understand that future should not be allowed to be killed and destroyed and done away with, because we need a new type of leadership. The leaders that we have now, they are leaders that represent Wall Street and the banks.
The IMF and the World Bank.
And the IMF and the World Bank.
Yes.
They don't represent ordinary working people.
No way, Jose.
We don't have leadership in any part of the Caribbean that represents the working people. They represent the interests of the bank and the ruling class.
Yes.
Walter Rodney and Maurice Bishop was against the banks and the ruling classes, and wanted the working people to have a stake in the society and accessing the resources of the society. That is why they believed in self-emancipation, in the working people taking power and emancipating themselves from the shackles that holds these
colonialism and neo-colonialism, as we call it.
Well, I don't like to use those big terms because I mean, those terms, it has to do with oppression.
Yeah, well, that's what's happening now. These governments are neo-colonialists. You know what I mean?
The government
new colonial masters.
They represent a new kind of imperialism.
Yeah, that's why I would say neo-colonialism.
Right? They are business managers of global capital.
Yeah.
The governments are business managers of global capital. That's their first boss. The people who vote for them, they have no real relationship to the people who vote for them. I mean, so that is what they represent. I mean, and you look at all the budgets produced by all the governments, all the programs. What are they doing? I mean, country after country in the Caribbean. I mean, can ordinary workers travel from country to country freely in the Caribbean? No. Only business people can travel freely.
But we have a sticky wicket here now, where the Minister of Finance, Peter Phillips, was part of the attack on the government of Jamaica for not allowing Walter Rodney to be here. He was one of the radicals in that time who was against this idea of banning Walter Rodney. Now he's part of that structure that Walter Rodney was fighting against. It's really ironical.
They become trapped in the structure.
Yeah.
They become trapped in the structure because there is no political movement of the working people with ideas about change and how to change that structure. Where are the political movements from the ground up? What has happened to the movements that developed in the 1970s and in the 1980s?
They got gulped up by the same system that it was supposed to be against. Because most of the people
swallowed up by this system.
Yeah, most of the people that we see now in government was part of that. Where are these people that was supposed to have
as a
changed
youth.
it. Yes.
As a youth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I came to Jamaica in 1978 as part of a youth delegation on the way to the World Youth Festival in Cuba. And there were hundreds and hundreds of Jamaican youth that were participating in that process of change and understanding change. Where are these movements now?
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Where are these movements now? And the issue here is what happens to the communities and the resources of the working people. What happens to the land? What happens to the community businesses?
Yes.
You see?
Yeah, man.
And that is where the problem is the structure and the nature of the way the government operates.
Yes.
I mean, how involved are the communities in change and in programs?
Yes. Well, we give thanks for the words, and we give thanks for the understanding. You know, I mean, very important that we do this, because, as we said, there's a lot of people who listen to this program that don't have a clue about what we're talking about or who's Walter Rodney. So we give thanks for you to shed some light on the whole, you know, commission and thing.
We call on everyone to be vigilant and to pay attention.
Yes.
You know, write a letter to the newspaper. Why Jamaicans can't write letters to the newspapers in Guyana and saying we are paying attention to this stuff?
Yes.
You know?
Well, this conversation is part of the process that we feel that should be done, is in place. So we do it because we know that it will gather momentum because of what we are doing now, you know?
Right.
And
right.
Forward.
We call on people, let's take action.
Yeah.
Let us take action, you know? And let us be vigilant.
Yeah.
And let us write letters. Let us get involved on Facebook and social network platforms. Write to the commission. All these things need to be done. You see?
Okay. All right, give thanks. Say what you was going to say.
I mean, take for instance, Walter was part of the faculty at the University of the West Indies. Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why the faculty or the faculty at the University of the West Indies should not write to the commission and say we are paying attention.
Yeah.
The Chief Justice of Kenya, yes, has written to the commission and saying, look, I was a student of Walter Rodney and I am paying attention to what you're doing. You see, that is what is needed.
Yes.
People need to write and say, we're paying attention to what you're doing.
Okay, sir.
And people should write to the Walter Rodney Secretariat at gmail.com.
Okay, sir. Give thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. That is very, very important. Give thanks. That is Wazir Mohammed, Associate Professor, Sociologist, Indiana University, WPA political activist, and colleague of Walter Rodney.
Saying yes is way more.
This is the Cutting Edge on IRFM. You know, we had mentioned a while ago, Peter Phillips, as part of that in the 60s radical force, you know, that farm groups and different body of people to really demonstrate against the Prime Minister at the time for his move against Walter Rodney. And years after that, when he was the Minister of Security, National Security, we hear Peter Phillips mention that Coral Garden and Henry, him say the government cannot afford to really allow these things to take place in Jamaica. The government cannot afford to allow these things. We're not telling the government to allow things still. But given who him was supposed to be at the time, and given that we know, say, Carroll Garden wasn't it's not Rasta. It's not Rasta cause it. It's the society. It's the system that was placed there against the people who do have any land and who reclaim land to make some living and to feed them children. The attack on the landless is the same attack that we get for years, even in slavery. It was not the Rastafari community that created that what them call upheaval against the society, the government. The state attacked the Rastafari, and then years after, we hear the Minister of Security and Justice under Peter Phillips denouncing Carroll Garden. And you know, if you denounce Carroll Garden, you know, you have to denounce Paul Bogle, and you have to denounce Sam Sharp. Yes. You have to denounce Sam Sharp, denounce Paul Bogle. Maybe just go and denounce reggae music, denounce Rastafari. So it's a serious problem when you start to excuse yourself as a jacket and tie man now. And then we say Shearer. We are told that, well, everybody's supposed to know. Well, I don't know if the book that's still there at Jamaica, you know, The Black Beauty. For those of you who don't know, this book named Black Beauty. Black Beauty is about a black horse. A very beautiful black horse. The problem with it is that because you, Larson Shearer, never read enough, the idea of black beauty was not acceptable, so all that book was banned. People that easy, think them easy. You think them people that easy, you know. It's like when you reach a certain position, you know, the system just grab you, you know. Sometimes you feel say you work against the system by going into the system. I realize that the system is more powerful than you did ever think. And then in a twinkling of an eye, you know, you just metamorphosize, you just change. And you don't even realize that you change, you know. And so the system grab you, you know. That you in the system a claim say you fight for the poor and a fight for justice and equal rights. But in truth and in fact, you're fighting to maintain the same oppressive system, and you behaving like a schizophrenic person, where you sometimes talk for the poor, but then round the corner now, you put on some tax on some things to make the poor get poorer. You sometimes talk for the poor about justice, but you have a group of men round there in a uniform, we are shoot the people them who you're supposed to look justice for. And it just keep going on and 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 on. But you know them say you push a dog around for so long, one day that dog will turn and bite you. I want to tell you, say it's biting time here, so now we want to play this. Before we play we could play you know, we're going till 3 o'clock. Did I tell you that we're going till 3 o'clock? We're going till 3 o'clock. So go get your black coffee, go get your matching stick for all up your eye. You know, I mean, anything where you think say can make you stay up. We know say how a man put on them pot of food there right now, a bubbling food, you know them way there. So we're going to go till 3 o'clock. But I want to play this thing here. I'm anxious to play it because it shows you how evil the system is. And when you say you're going to try go into the system to change things, you become part of that evil. You understand? Can remember when me a youth, teenager youth a come up. Because we never know communism business, you know. we're not communism, we are working with Marcus Garvey and Rasta. We are Project Rasta as youth in our school, and you know, Marcus Garvey's son, the demons we go to Yemi J.S. Garvey house, 12 Mona Road, and we just move Black Power, Marcus Garvey, and then Rastafari just come grab way. But remember in them days there, you know, when you hear about Castro, you know, it's like a devil that, it's like, if you want to know the incarnation of the devil in the Bible, he was 90 miles away from Jamaica. That was Fidel Castro. And remember also that there was a war that was going to start during the time of Kennedy against Cuba, because Cuba and Russia was in cahoots. Cuba and Russia was tight. As a matter of fact, a whole heap of the economical support came from Russia to Cuba. But them build up so much things against Cuba, you know, that there's no way anybody wants to associate with Cuba. I remember the first time I left Jamaica to go up on any tour was with Jimmy Cliff. And at that time it was Siaga in a power, and Siaga say, anyhow we go, you know, say, a mark over the pathway. It's like a gozo business. Like, don't go. And we are say, but we are artists. I mean, you know, the whole we go. Jimmy Cliff and him band and me included, we go there, perform, and come back. People say them now go because them now get an American visa and all these things. We get around that too, because we get around it by saying them not stamp a passport. Because them also understood the repercussion that would take place. So them not stamp a passport when we reach in Cuba. If we go through Havana, they never stamp it, the customs never stamp it. You understand? But it's a serious thing. It's a serious thing because the things them that we hear about these people, the what them call socialism, anti-communism stand that them take, that everybody become communist, even though you is not communist. And we see what happened to Michael Manley. In a them time they also. So when we look from Walter Rodney, Maurice Bishop, where America, big America invade little Grenada. Can you imagine that? Big America invade a little island named Grenada and create one big problem over there. All that not settled yet, you know, that not settled yet. And then we see them assassinate Walter Rodney and bring in a guy named Jim Jones. You know, we write a poem about this poem, and in this poem we mention Jim Jones. A whole heap of people don't even know who was Jim Jones. But it's very important that you go find out these things, you know. Because these are the things that when we remember these things, you know, there's no way we can follow this the part of how the system work, because we realize that the system is not for the people. The man named Jim Jones was a preacher. In the name of the Lord, he make about 300 odd people drink poison in a Guyana. White man go to Guyana, set up him different that and that and that, and he was placed there legally, and it became one of the biggest mass suicide ever. Mass suicide. He make 300 odd people take poison, drink poison, and dead. That they make a movie about it, you know. They make a movie about it. This guy named Jim Jones, I will mention it in the poem. This poem shall speak of Jim Jones. You understand? The Ku Klux Klan riots in Brixton, Jim Jones. But these people use propaganda machinery for devastate the minds of the people, like them come poison all the flower over here, so we don't know, kill all the big tall coconut tree them, and make it look like a normal thing happen. Like some disease take over the land and then put the disease there. But why you go to your computer and Google a thing named Operation Northwood? Operation Northwood is a serious thing. Operation Northwood. I will want to play a little clip here from this Operation Northwood, and then we'll go back into Walter Rodney. But everything connected. Everything connected. That the war in Syria. And if you believe that the war in Iraq and Afghanistan and Yemen and in the Congo and what took place in Burundi, what took place in Uganda, what took place in Grenada, what took place in Jamaica in the 70s. If you believe these things is not connected, you have a sad thinking. Yes, it's all connected. All connected.
Today on Caribbean Nation, we continue our series on Caribbean personalities who have had a lasting impact on the course of Caribbean and world history. Our program today focuses on Walter Rodney, one of the Caribbean's foremost revolutionary thinkers. Assassinated in his native Guyana in June of 1980, Rodney's teachings and example have become a rallying force for social and political change across the world. Now, we have the first comprehensive work on the life and thoughts of this brilliant son of Africa and the Caribbean, whose name is called in the same breath as Marcus Garvey, Toussaint Louverture, C.L.R. James, George Padmore, Stokely Carmichael, Eric Williams, Fidel Castro, and Che Guevara. Walter Rodney's intellectual and political thought is written by Professor Rupert Lewis, a political science lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Mona campus in Jamaica. Well researched and written, Professor Lewis's book is more than just a biography. It is an account of an important period of 20th century Caribbean history, sociology, and politics. So please join us as we speak with Dr. Rupert Lewis about his landmark book on the extraordinary Caribbean intellectual and revolutionary, Dr. Walter Rodney. Don't go anywhere.
REFM, thought-provoking, always smoking, lyrics like a...
Today we focus on Walter Rodney, and I have with me in the studio none other than Dr. Rupert Lewis, professor of political science, actually political thought at the University of the West Indies in Mona. Professor Lewis, we met some time ago, a couple of months ago, at the Walter Rodney's conference in New York, and ever since then I've been eagerly awaiting this book. Let's do the usual first and ask the questions that everybody will ask. That is, how you came to write this book on Walter Rodney.
Well, David, the reason has to do with the students I teach. What you found in the 1980s is that although Walter Rodney was assassinated in June 1980, the generation of students that I taught in the late 80s, even some Guyanese students, did not really know very much about Walter Rodney, who he was, what he stood for, what his writings were about. Some, of course, had encountered how Europe underdeveloped Africa. Jamaicans knew about his the experience in 1968, October, when he was banned and there were mass demonstrations in Kingston. Others, when I traveled to Tanzania, knew about his Tanzanian experience. And what I wanted to do was to put together the different facets of Walter Rodney's life into one book where people could examine him both in relation to his revolutionary political activity in Jamaica, in Guyana, in Tanzania, his connection with the African liberation movements, his work as a pioneer historian of Africa, of the Caribbean, his work as an intellectual analyzing the contemporary Caribbean, the contemporary black world in relationship to Western imperialism. So to put together a portrait of Walter Rodney as a basis for a more comprehensive way of presenting him to a younger public. If I had been concerned exclusively with my own generation, it would have been a different kind of a book where you're working with people who shared your assumptions and shared your political activities. But when you're working with students who are removed from that, then you have to approach the text in a different way. And as time passes along, people are less familiar with the circumstances of the 60s and 70s, with the personalities that emerge, and therefore you have to represent that experience, whether through Walter Rodney or through other revolutionary thinkers, in a way which enables the younger people to do their own thing in relationship to how they assess the situation in the world in which they find themselves, how they draw out their own potential, how the working people are aware of what has gone on before them. And Walter Rodney's important idea of self-emancipation as a person coming from the working people himself and being very committed to his own class of people. I think this is what I try to do in the book, to enable people to understand in a comprehensive way the varied activities of Walter Rodney.
Let me pin you down on this question that you raised in the very first sentence, and that is that a number of Caribbean people, students and...
Yeah, this is the Cutting Edge FM there with you. The time is 3 minutes past the hour of 12 o'clock.
Brothers and sisters, this is Chalice. Join us with respect for our national anthem. Let us stand and defend this one. Peace and love. Thank you. Eternal Father, bless our land. Guide us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Do our life through countless hours. To our leaders, great defenders, great true wisdom from above. Jamaica land we love. Justice. Jamaica, Jamaica, Jamaica land we never make a politician.
Enable people to understand in a comprehensive way the varied activities of Walter Rodney.
Let me pin you down on this question that you raised in the very first sentence, and that is that a number of Caribbean people, students and people in other sectors and sections of the society, have very little knowledge of personalities who have played important roles in Caribbean history. The same can be said for C.L.R. James, Norman Manley, Michael Manley, Cheddy Jagan, you name them. George Padmore is hardly known by Caribbean people. What do you think? What do you think accounts for this?
I think it has to do with the continued colonial character of our educational system, even in the Caribbean. Although there's considerable work that has been done, books that are being published now, never before have we had so many regionally published texts. There's still a need for continued valorization of our own contribution to world culture, world civilization. And that sense is not easy to develop even among ourselves, because there's this feeling of inadequacy. There's a feeling that we have not really contribute in the way that some of us are making out. There is this failure to be able to understand what are the heritages that have shaped the modern period. And hence somebody like Padmore, who is so significant for the Pan-Africanist movement in the mid-20th century, is hardly known. And you run the risk of somebody like Walter Rodney not being known sufficiently in the future. I teach a course called Caribbean Political Thought, where we try to engage that tradition, because the tradition is not, it's a Caribbean tradition, but it's also a global tradition, because it helps to shape Africa, it helps to shape people in Europe, it helps us shape a discourse and analysis and practical political activity, which we need to embrace as part of our response to the 21st century and part of our way of helping to reshape our agenda. That's the heritage that we need to draw on, so that there's a continual struggle. For example, we're involved now in a program to teach Marcus Garvey in schools to make it more comprehensive. There are elements of it, but it's all part of the same struggle to involve Walter Rodney and to try to shape an intellectual tradition, which is what I'm trying to contribute to in the book. And other people have contributed to that by virtue of their work on other individuals. But it is this self-conscious shaping of an intellectual tradition. And therefore, in the same way that the Europeans have done it, you go over the same people over and over again in order to be able to extract from their work the essential elements in order to fine-tune for their own purposes. We need to do that for our own thinkers who have really made enormous contributions.
And what is so fantastic about the 20th century Caribbean thinkers, James, Padmore, Garvey, Rodney, Fanon, they have been just not thinkers about the Caribbean region, but about the world. I mean, Rodney is probably better known in Africa than he is in the Caribbean. In a sense, they're universal men and women who have shaped not only the history of helped to shape not only the history of the Caribbean, but the history of the world. What do you think, again, what do you think accounts for this kind of product coming out of the Caribbean that goes onto the world stage and act in the way that it has acted?
I think what accounts, there are two reasons. One is that small territories, in this case a small coastal part of the South American continent, in the case of Guyana, but being part of a wider framework, because it was part of the framework of the British Empire. So you're connected to India, you're connected to Africa by virtue of the populations that were placed on that small coastal strip of land. So you're involved automatically with global issues. You're involved with Britain, you're involved with continental Africa, you're involved with the Indian subcontinent. You're involved also with other parts of the world, Chinese, Asia, Portuguese, people and so on. And when you try to develop a program of reform, of change, you're involved with international issues. You can't help, because these territories have been projects of the European expansion over the last 500 years. So when you encounter this, you're also dealing also with the experience of whether Africans in Brazil or African Americans in the United States. You immediately see the similarities and the similar agendas that one needs to develop in order to liberate people, in order to develop a program of reform. So no matter what you touch, if you are to make a difference in the small situations, whether it's coastal, whether it is the continental coastal strip, or in the islands of the Caribbean, you are involved with global issues, because the projects were the early form of globalization, whereas we are now, as some people would argue, in the second stage of globalization. We are products of that first globalization, and hence our world has been a very complex world of cultures, complex world of economics, modern economic systems, complex world of trade relationships, complex world of racial aggregations, as it were, that are brought together in this project that Europe created.
America wants to know what's happening in the Caribbean diaspora, there is one clear choice.
Hello, welcome to Carib Nation.
Both people inside and outside are very excited about today's program.
Looking at you, I can tell that you have traveled the journey.
One television organization.
Mix up to a familiar song. We enjoy traditional taste.
Rodney's early years in Guyana. Born in 1942. So coming of age in the 1950s.
1950s.
Tremendous period in Caribbean history in general, but Guyanese history in particular. How this shaped the future Walter Rodney?
Well, it shaped it, first of all, in terms of the anti-colonial movement. The movement led by the late Cheddi Jagan and others. The political ferment of the 50s and the repressive character of the colonial authorities in relationship to that movement. And Walter's parents are a part of that political awakening, and therefore his youth is shaped by these activist concerns, these concerns of trying to develop the consciousness, develop political activities. But it's also shaped by that period which is the end of colonialism and the opening up of educational opportunities for a large number of black and Indian people. And he takes advantage fully of the opportunities of scholarships, going straight through to the School of Oriental and African Studies, and before that, University of the West Indies. He takes full advantage of the educational opportunities that are now open with the early period of decolonization. So there's a combination there of intellectual awakening, of study, and the relationship between that and the political challenges of decolonization. That combination endures in Walter Rodney's life. So the Guyanese experience is extremely important because it brings onto the agenda of his mind this question of race, the question of black people, the question of the Indian population, the question of the way imperialism and the colonialists utilize racial division as a means of making the populations that are colonized disunited and fighting against each other. He's engaged with those issues, the use of race for reactionary political purposes, and the need to challenge that particular agenda of race. So from early in his life, there is an integration between his historical investigation and his effort to connect to political struggle. And what is important about his period at University of West Indies is that in the early 60s, no African history is taught. He knows a lot about European history. He knows a lot about the Atlantic on this side of it, but nothing at all about Africa. And this is what is impelling him to say, I need to know, and sending him on this investigation of the West African, the African slave trade and its impact on the modern world.
On he goes to England, studies, became a PhD at 24 years. Went to Africa for a short while.
He went to Dar es Salaam in around the end of 65, 66, and he teaches there.
Right.
But his main intention is really to return to teach at the University of the West Indies and to introduce African history there.
So he comes back to Jamaica?
He comes back to Jamaica at the start of 1968. But he doesn't get an opportunity to teach African history because that is aborted in terms of the formal educational system. But he spends a lot of time in the inner city communities of Kingston and in the rural communities, reasoning with people, particularly the Rastafarians, learning from them, and also letting them know about the changes that are underway in Africa, as well as teaching them about pre-colonial African history, which was a major topic of interest at the time, because this is important for people to understand, as we now have a better understanding of the fact that our history did not begin with the plantation, did not begin with the Colombian misadventure, that one has to understand that period prior to the slave trade, prior to the 15th century.
Right.
And he does a lot of work on African civilizations, African cultures, and he finds in the poor communities of Kingston, especially among the Rastafarians, a knowledge of these things, and there is an interaction. So although he doesn't get the opportunity to teach African history to students, he has these informal reasonings and lectures which are collected in the book Groundings with My Brothers.
There are a couple of things here. On the international scene, Black Power is raging here in the United States of America, other parts of North America. But more importantly, here is a young academic going among poor people and talking to them about their blackness, talking to them about the Africanness. It's an affront to the ruling class in the Caribbean at that particular time. How did they react?
They reacted very viciously. First of all, the use of the police, the use of informers, the banning of literature in Jamaica. They banned the biography of Malcolm X. They even banned a book called Black Beauty, which had no political significance, whatever, just because it had the word black in it. They banned all the writings coming out of Cuba. There was a ban on black literature, period, coupled together with a ban on communist literature. And Walter Rodney, along with some other students, had visited Cuba, and this made him a target for the Jamaican government. Of course, this was the case with other governments as well, but more so the Jamaican government. So Walter Rodney, after he attended a Black Writers Conference in Montreal in October, and when he returned to Jamaica on around October 15th, he was declared persona non grata. And when the students heard about this, they were upset because they were losing a lecturer who they liked. But unbeknownst to them, Walter Rodney had a constituency off the campus. So you had this constituency off the campus who encountered for the first time this large number of red gown students who went on the streets of Kingston to protest. And it is a convergence of the urban youth and the students which creates a new situation in terms of a mass demonstration that turns violent in Kingston. And there are casualties, properties damaged, but it creates a new political awareness in the region and has an impact wider than Jamaica and marks a turning point. It's the beginning of the radical 70s, so to speak.
But Rodney goes to Dar es Salaam, he goes back to Tanzania.
Rodney goes not directly to Tanzania. He spent some time in Cuba.
In Cuba, okay.
And apparently he wrote a manuscript which we have not been able to identify on the black struggle, reflecting on his experience. And certainly we intend to follow up to pursue that particular manuscript. He goes to England, and then he resettles in University of Dar es Salaam between 1969 and 1974.
Wrote the seminal How Europe Underdeveloped Africa.
He wrote the seminal How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. And the genesis of that text is very interesting in that it really develops as a set of lectures to the Tanzanian teachers, the History Teachers Association. He goes throughout Tanzania discussing the problems that Tanzania faces in terms of trying to effect change. And he says that one needs to understand the problem in the broader way, in the context of the European involvement with Africa over several centuries. And interestingly, he gives the manuscript to workers who are literate in English for them to read and to comment. And this is an indication of how seriously Rodney took the role of political education among working people. And he did the same in terms of his discussions with people in Jamaica and in the bottom house meetings in Guyana, or elsewhere. So this was a way of operating. And hence by 1972, we had his brilliant book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa.
And he goes back to Guyana in 1974, expecting to get a job at the University of Guyana, did not get a job. And what happens after then?
Well, he determines that he would not leave Guyana. He would stay. And he tried to get jobs even at the high school level, and the dictatorial Falls Burnham bans him, prevents him from getting a job there. But he decides to stay. He's not going to migrate. He doesn't take up offers elsewhere, and there are many offers. There are offers in Hamburg, there are offers in Canada, there are offers in the United States. He visits these places. He earns some money. He gets grants. He's able to research in the Guyanese archives, and he writes a very brilliant book on the history of the Guyanese working people, which is one of a fine historical work. And at the same time, he's involved with political activism in the Working People's Alliance. And this activism brings him and brings the working people into active confrontation with the Burnham regime. And it is from research that the Gregory Smith was an agent of the state and was set up with this bomb disguised as a walkie-talkie, and which was Walter's undoing, because when he tried out this instrument, it blew him apart.
When America wants to know what's happening in the Caribbean diaspora,
friendly game and like clockwork, we
working people generally, and he was making a challenge to them, and this is the whole purpose of the energy he put into political education, the energy he put into giving them the confidence that they could take on the agendas of transformation, because the promises made to them by the political class that had emerged were promises that would founder on the class interests of the middle strata that was emerging in the Caribbean, and who were using the state as a basis for their economic consolidation.
Who are some of the influences on his political thought?
Well, I would say that one of the key influences on political thought was C.L.R. James. And C.L.R. James, Walter had a great deal of respect for, and was part of C.L.R. James's London study group in the mid-1960s. And C.L.R. James followed Walter's career throughout, corresponded with him. They had their differences, but I would put C.L.R. James as one of the critical Caribbean intellectuals. But I also mention another important Guyanese influence on Walter Rodney, and that is the late great mathematician and Africanist scholar Norman Cameron, who was one of Walter's teachers at Queen's College in Guyana, and who tends to be ignored. He's not well known, but he's a great classic scholar, a great mathematician, a great knowledge. He has great knowledge on African civilizations, and certainly that helped to shape Walter Rodney's early thinking on some of these topics.
As we come to the end of the 20th century, the Caribbean and the rest of the developing world face a strong challenge to their very existence as independent sovereign states. In the course of meeting this challenge, the working people are as vulnerable as never before. Globalization, structural adjustment, ethnic and racial competition. The doom varies, but the story is the same. It is at times like these that we must call upon the best in us to guide and inspire our struggle. In this regard, Walter Rodney is more relevant today than ever. And Dr. Rupert Lewis has given him to us in the form of a brilliant book, Walter Rodney's Intellectual and Political Thought. As a disciple of Rodney and a believer in something called the Caribbean Nation, I highly recommend this book. Until the next time, I'm David Hines, thanking you for tuning in to yet another edition of Carib Nation. And remember, as always, our motto on this program is one
REFM, thought-provoking, always smoking, lyrics like a bazooka. You are listening to Mutabaruka
Cutting Edge with Mutabaruka. We are listening to all our meds. You know here, Cutting Edge, the edge.
Malvern Earthquake will be hosting a Nyabingi in Malvern to celebrate African Liberation Day. Malvern, St. Elizabeth. It was Monday we went up to the South African ambassador's residence. They had a function up there celebrating their 20th anniversary as a democratic state in South Africa. We know that South Africa has become part of what we call, it was BRIC, but now it's BRICS. What is BRICS? BRICS is a group of emerging economies, countries that has chosen to separate themselves from the normal, traditional marketplace and to carve out something for themselves. These countries are called BRICS, BRICS. It is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and now South Africa. And we get to understand that South Africa economy has shifted from being an Americanized economy into what we call now a BRIC economy, where this group of nations is coming together as emerging economical powers to do things that is outside of what we call the AU and the IMF and the World Bank and all these things. Cutting edge. Yeah, for those of you too young to know, that is the theme song from a movie, Jamaican movie named Countryman. Yes, big movie in Jamaica in the 70s, if I can I call Countryman.
Hello?
Yes.
Lion.
Blessed man.
When I was a student this year, I'm not gonna lie, every time I play that song, I burn spirit, I want different vibration come over and like, the man really has to sell out one different kind of way.
That's why I play it continuously.
And I don't want you to stop playing. As I say, when I was a student, this.
All right, sir.
I'm a 10-year-old.
You're serious?
Yeah, man. This year, I'm 30. And
you listen to me, I'm 10-year-old.
Yeah, man. Before I want like a General Electric radio, my father did that with one speaker. And in Buck, Irie, Ezekiel, and the whole work. That's I grew up on.
All right, sir. Give thanks, man.
The eyes are light there at why, Muta. I'm not lying.
Yeah.
I grew up Rastafari, but I never feel, let me go me here and be free and farm till last year when you come on with cut down, step
razor. Okay.
Yeah, man. Right now.
Change up the whole thing.
The whole thing. I plug off of Babylon. I look for my car, I look for my pop chow, I look for my meringue tree, I look for all peanut, banana, plant, pop chow, okra in a 1 year in a lion.
Yeah.
And I give thanks.
You know, so when me hear them things, it make me feel stronger too. It's like how me make you feel strong.
The earth one kind of, yeah. You see even last week, week before last, Dr. Sebi.
Yes.
Me stop eat fish, come here and say, hold on. But me eat a bungalow pop chow look while, and me feel the life going on my body inside of me.
Then a green food, a green food, you know.
Green food, life
man.
Food.
Chlorophyll and things.
Yes, man.
No, let me give thanks because you know, as me I say, anytime you hear them things, they me feel strong to, you know, for go on and continue. You understand?
I said, don't stop, don't stop. I don't want I stop right now. Me afraid I go for 1 week. I class. This
a 1 week you here.
1 week.
And that's a one week you here.
Right, yeah, I know.
A 1 week you here.
Lion give Queen Mother.
Yeah,
when you bring her about Queen Mother.
But a long time I don't hear from her. You know, since she come to Jamaica, she must check, but a long time I don't hear from her.
We need a connection back with her. Because that lady, they put me on a part where right now, me give thanks. Thanks. Like me say, Lion, me listen to you religiously. Like me say, a class time for me.
All right, so give thanks, man.
Wednesday night, put on me greens. Me cook late Wednesday.
Yes.
To me, that coming like attack under the tree. You know when you die, you and class down and your reason under the tree, that a stepping razor. So we involve a lot more in other reasoning there. More different people talk about current affairs.
Yes. That's how we push it.
You see, cutting edge, a class.
Yes, of
teaching.
Course. I did it a long time, for 20 years it did it.
You know, you say, man, I'm not left, man. I'm not left.
All right, give thanks, brethren. Give thanks.
Give thanks. You're Lion. Bless up.
Yes, cutting edge.
Greetings, Muta.
Blessed man.
Yeah, man. Program, as them are saying, a little local. Turn up. Yes, sir. And we have to keep the pressure. We have to keep the pressure.
Of course.
Because it's like it's a relay we are on, and from Rodney and come right up. We have to manifest them work that Walter Rodney that put out there.
Yeah.
Because it is a fact how Europe had underdeveloped Africa. We know these things. The things that Marcus Garvey was saying is that we must develop our own government, meaning our parallel system to the white world system. You see, the system of money with them I use now, It was conceptualized in 1946 after the Second World War. And in it, they had what they call the Bretton Woods system. You know, and these things is available, you know. We can read about it, how Jamaica joined the Bretton Woods system. That is the system of money that control the world.
Yeah.
And these are the things that they use from them time that the IMF was brought into being. And there's no way we stay in that system and can prosper. And it shows you all of the countries, even European countries, will go under the IMF system. None of them have come out successful.
None of them. Not one. None.
So it's an illusion when Peter Phillips has said, boy, we have to travel the whole length of this thing and pass the test them. It's nonsense. There's
but you know, that is what they do, you know, to make you pass test. It's like you take fencing. It's like tariff fencing. It's like you take watch out. You have to pass tests.
Yes. Because what the country is going through now is madness. There is no way you can use paper to create more money that you can get yourself out of it. And even the taxation will not help. The only answer is the land, the production, and this is why they want to keep I from land.
Yeah.
Even Pinnacle, you know, is a serious thing with Pinnacle. When they want to move that land away from I to say, this land is legally yours. It's enough land them rob, you know. Them rob the land from the Maroon them, you know, because the Maroon them own the land from Falmouth to Black River, you know.
Yeah, and them cut it out. Yeah, man, take away the beach part.
Then them take away the whole of them land there, you know.
Yeah.
One, the bowlers in a St. Catherine again, you know, is another 5,000 acre property with them steal.
Yeah.
And we see it happening over and over until the people rise up and know, say, listen, we must control the reins and the wealth in Jamaica. Bank of Jamaica did a survey and show, say, is 5% of the population control 95% of the wealth of the country. 5%. Under 5%, they come back out of the same. When we are youth, we hear about the 21 family will run Jamaica.
Yeah.
That 5% represent that family. And that is where the wealth stay. Now, we have to look again now how they manipulate the people, you know. Every time you have the election come, it's the same big man get the two party them money, you know. 10 million for run election. 10 million to PNP, 10 million to JLP. Because them is not loyal to no party. They are giving equally that whoever win know that they must get them kicked back.
Of course. Get back them 10 million.
So when the 10 times 10.
Yeah.
So when the government contract them a run, it's them man, they get it first. When you look at Matalan, them say Matalan build the most house in Jamaica. Matalan don't build one house. It's I, the tradesman, them that build the house. Matalan get the claim. Take the claim feet. And get the monies. Because all of them workers that will work on the house don't own a house. So it's them things that now we have to realize, say, we have to now create that transference of wealth from the few to the masses. And that is our work, you know, cut out where we, and when I say we, that's the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party, have to convert that transference of wealth into the hands of the people. And it's through certain form of reasoning, education, and as Walter Rodney said, the groundation of the people so that they can be aware of what is happening.
So you've been having meetings around the island, Bridget?
Yeah, man. On weekend, we go out to the country, man, and meet with the people and talk with them, man. Same groundation, man. Same vibes.
Okay.
No big political meeting and stand up on platform and them thing. Go up on the corner, go in at the community, go up on the farm. Right now, we are develop a 5 farm. We are develop right away, you know.
Oh, yeah?
And we are name them in an African name, you know. Our farm name Ghana. Rasaimo, them have a farm, live up that a Zimbabwe.
Which part of them farm are there?
right around the island. We have St. Thomas, St. Catherine.
So where they pan it now? Where have pan it here now?
Okra, callaloo, banana, plantain, coffee. Portion of crops we have.
Yes.
Now we want to develop the medicinal plants now. So we have 200 seedlings of the moringa. Because we know that health is one of the greatest things.
Greatest wealth. Health is the greatest wealth.
Thank you. We see the Minister of Health just allocate $2 billion for fight cancer. Now we are talking about the preventative medicine.
Yes.
Them are wait till you get sick, then them fight it, you know.
Yeah, talk about prevention is better than to cure it.
Thank you. Preventative medicine. So we are going to put in these nutraceuticals that you don't get the cancer.
Yes, yeah.
So these are the levels where we're depend. One other thing I'd like keep reminding the people about the name change in ceremony that we want to know. We have for the 100 years of the UNIA, we want 100 persons with a name change in ceremony.
Yes.
It will take place. I think tentatively we have the medallion hall.
Well, I am endorsing that, you know, because, you know, from the beginning, we did get out African names from this program.
Yes, from them time there.
We call it African names for today's children, and we always remind the people that if you have any young youth who is under 20 or 20 and have an African name, more than likely is this program name him.
Yeah, man. Well, you know? I have done some survey because, you know, as a JP, I sign a lot of documents and a youth come to me with an African name. I'm say, where you get that name there? Boy, my father give me. Boy, my father is a Ras, you know.
Yeah.
We used to listen Muta. So we know it working.
Well, we never know you're JP, Bridget. Now me look for JP all the way. Well, wait there. Oh, me look for JP all the way. I can't find JP right you're JP.
Yes, I.
Me have two good bridges who are JP now. No, well, 3 now because Charlie Chaplin are JP.
Yes.
Tony Rebel are JP and you are JP. So I am in good standing, man. I'm in good standing.
Well, you see, we have to control all sectors of the system. And this is what we are about doing now. In times gone, a man say, you bow to the queen when you go into it. Because a man deal with me that way they already and try embarrass him on himself. Because I said to him, say, well, listen, we want to know when we rise up the system, we have all the people in the places to make the thing continue without any confusion. So we are all in the system now, doing what we supposed to do. That when that period of transition
takes place. I'm afraid I know, you know, when you say you're in the system, you know. Me kind of get jumpy when me hear the argument about in the system.
There's
because
a thing
being in the system is a really serious thing.
No. You see, what we have to understand, you know, is the works of a man that going to make you know him. So if I plant corn, I can't raise peas. So I plant, a man know my works from day one that I have been planting corn. So it's corn I go and reap. So even though I say, in the system, you have to know what is happening. So, all right, how you think the white world penetrate, assassinate Malcolm X and them man? Them infiltrate the system and put man in it to know what is happening.
Yeah, but if that, you see, but we can't do that if we are penetrate for go kill off some of the politicians them, but we not plan to do that. If we don't plan to do that now, then we infiltrate the system. When white people do it, them are plan to kill we have. When we are infiltrate them, we not plan to kill have nobody.
Well, you see, the whole concept that we understand right now is how you do your thing methodically and do it within a way that they cannot suspect what is happening. You have to understand that they try to preempt anything you do. So as you know your program, them listen to your program. Right? And say, well, yeah man, that Muta say that, Brother Ray say that, the man there say. We have to know now that we have to become clandestine with some of the things that we do. So just as how you have an inner circle in all these organizations that contemplate and plan whatever clandestine movement within the organization. So you have to have it. Even the countries have it, you know. America have the CIA that plan all of them clandestine works. England have the Scotland Yard. Russia have the KGB. All these organizations and countries have their inner circle that carry out the work.
So you say no, we should have just become a CIA, infiltrate the CIA for what? Well, we should have do that for?
No, we are creating our black intelligence that they will know.
That me talk about. That's why when you say no, you're in the system now, it's a problem because me think so we that try to create our own thing, but without using their logics, their understanding. You know, just
you have a structure. You have a structure in place, you know. And for you to move that structure, you know which one of the pillars that hold up that structure. That when you lick that pillar, the structure fall.
Yeah.
You understand? You won't necessarily stay outside to know these things. So it is part of the whole thing that you have to be there to know the structure, to know what it is, and to know how to dismantle it.
Yeah.
If a man give a radio and you don't know how to dismantle it, you know. Even a bomb, if you don't know how to dismantle a bomb, you blow up yourself.
Yeah, but you don't want to dismantle it. You want to put it somewhere where it blow up others.
But you have to know how to move it. Because some of them have all different...
I don't think you have to go into the system if you're going to learn that still, you know. Because the people them who miss a bomb up place and no one ride in a building and match down place, them never go into the system if you're going to learn that. Them just operate a certain way and just do it, you know.
No,
and
them learn it, you know, them have to learn it from the system, you know, because the system create them. Remember, them it cut off our tradition, you know. So all that we know is what they have taught us through their system. It is I and I now coming through our genetic memory bank that is bringing out all of our ancient traditions coming forward through our genetic memory. As would have said, the re-memory within our genetic bank.
Yeah, well, it's kind of debatable still, you know, but it's debatable. Me understand what you're saying.
It's a thin line, and it depends on how you see it.
You can say, old man talk about, you know, going at the system for change it, and then say the system change them.
Well, if they are not convicted in their thoughts.
But they were convicted in them thoughts. When them was saying it, them was convicted in them thoughts. As a matter of fact, they are now in the system and still convicted in the same thought that them is freeing the people them.
No, because they believe in a different philosophy. If you are grounded in the philosophy of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, there's no way you can support a structure that is working against you. And we know that any system that is not supporting the self-reliance of Marcus Garvey and the Africa as the motherland philosophy, then you're really not supporting your blackness.
Yeah, Portia seems to believe
still have to be committed to your blackness.
Portia seems to believe that she's a Marcus Garvey. It's
rhetoric.
Remember what I tell you? Oh, no, you know, Portia seems to believe that she's a Marcus Garvey. I shall work on behalf of Marcus Garvey. Anyway, we have to move that over.
One thing I just want to add, that the name change in ceremony is not just the Christian name that, and you keep the old surname, like your name Williams, and you keep the Williams and Younglove, the African name, and the first two Christian name. It is the total thing. Christian name and surname will be changed, so all the descendants from that point forward will be total African.
All right, so give thanks.
Blessed love.
Yeah, this is the Cutting Edge. We want yellow Mama Fire on our Earth Day. Yes, Mama Fire. Yeah, man, I see you, you know. You think I never see you? Mama Fire, yellow Mama Fire on our Earth Day. Yes, Cutting Edge. Yell. What? Person drop asleep on them phone, man. Yell. So, man, me cut up my tune, them, I start. So like you're in a submarine. So like you did there look for the Malaysian airline. I don't know.
Yes, the vibes is nice. So nice.
R.E.F.M. Thought-provoking. Always smoking. Lyrics like a bazooka. You are listening to Mutabaruka.
I'm going to start this video off with a quiz. I'm going to ask you 3 questions about science topics, and I want you to remember your answers or write them down if you prefer. These are short answer questions, no multiple choice. Question 1. Why is it hotter in the summer than the winter? Question 2. About how long does it take the moon to orbit the Earth? Question 3. What subunits are proteins made up of? Do you have your answers? Good. Let's see how you did. Question 1. It's hotter in the summer because that part of the Earth is tilted towards the sun. The Earth has an axial tilt around 23 degrees with respect to its plane of rotation, which increases the period of solar exposure. Question 2. It takes the moon about 27.3 days to rotate around the Earth, but give yourself credit for 28 days or 29. 4 weeks or a month would also be fine. The orbital period is 27.3 days, but the synodic period, which causes the phases of the moon, is based on Earth, Sun, and Moon geometries, and it's about 29.5 days. Question 3. Proteins are made of amino acids, or you could get credit for polypeptides, which is another level of organization below proteins but above amino acids. Give yourself a pat on the back if you got all 3 right. Don't be too down on yourself if you missed 1 or 2. And if you missed all 3, well, it's never too late to pick up a book at the library. So why the quiz game? There's a growing divide in the U.S., and in other places as well, between those who understand science and technology and those who do not. 2 camps have formed, and I think the consequences are going to be negative for both. Let me share with you the results of a biannual study done by the U.S. National Science Foundation. The poll is conducted by telephone by an independent agency among around 2,000 adults 18 and over selected semi-randomly. There are 10 questions on a variety of topics, all true-false. Keep that in mind. A random guess would give a right answer 50% of the time. In 2006, 80% of the respondents knew that the center of the Earth was very hot. 70% knew that not all radioactivity is man-made. 45% answered correctly that lasers are not focused sound. 53% correctly answered that electrons are smaller than atoms. Only 33% answered correctly that the universe began with a huge explosion. 80% answered the question about continental drift correctly. 76% got that the Earth orbits the Sun. 55% answered correctly how long it takes for the Earth to orbit the Sun. 64% answered that the male determines the sex of the child. 56% answered that antibiotics don't kill viruses. And 43% answered correctly the basic evolution question. This is staggering when you really ponder it. I understand the religious motivation about the 2 questions on origins, but the number of people who think lasers are sound energy, almost half the people didn't know that an electron is smaller than an atom. Or worse, the number of correct answers was not significantly higher than everyone taking a wild guess. That's 2,000 people with no clue about basic technology and earth science. People don't understand our solar system, our basic genetics, how antibiotics work, or where radioactivity comes from. These are people for whom science and technology are strange and frightening. In a 1998 survey that asked questions not about facts or theories, but about the process of science itself, only 7% of respondents from the general U.S. population could explain concepts like controls, placebos, or experimental design. When the study was limited to only college graduates, the numbers went up, but only to 22%. When limited to those with graduate degrees, the number climbs just a little more to 26%. An informal poll conducted at a Harvard commencement ceremony showed that fewer than 10% of recent Harvard grads could explain why it was hotter in summer than winter. A similar survey at George Mason University showed that only 50% of college seniors could identify the difference between an atom and a molecule. Some of you out there from outside the U.S. are laughing at the stupid Americans, but you might want to take a closer look at this international data. The only questions Americans scored lower on consistently are the religiously charged origins questions. There, we only managed to outscore the country of Turkey, although Russia was just ahead of us. The Chinese scored worse than the U.S. when asked about the Big Bang. There were a few clear outliers, although the EU and U.S. seemed to be the front-runners for most questions. To determine how much of the answers were religiously motivated, a rewording of the questions to say, according to the theory of evolution, brings the U.S. up to 74% from 42% when asked whether it occurred this way or not. Similarly, the Big Bang results go from 33% to 62% in the U.S. when prefaced by, according to the Big Bang theory. So some people know the basics of these theories but don't accept them. We're facing a divide here. It's existed for decades, but I think it's widening. There are becoming two societies, those who value scientific knowledge and those who do not. Let me give you the bad news, folks. There are a lot more of them than there are of us, and they wield more political power, more economic power, more popular power, and they control the media. Everyone loves science in the abstract. They just don't want to be bothered with it. Fewer people worldwide know who won the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 2009 than know who won Dancing with the Stars. But these people who reject scientific knowledge don't live in a vacuum. They have filled the gap in their understanding with pseudoscience. Here are the results of a Gallup poll in 2005. Over 40% of people believed in ESP. 38% believe in hauntings. 33% believe in talking to ghosts. 31% believe in telepathy. 26% in clairvoyance. 25% in astrology. 21% believe in witches, of all things. 20% believe in reincarnation. And 9% believe in ghost possession. A reported 34% of polled respondents say they believe that UFOs are currently visiting the Earth, up sharply from a few years ago. An unscientific survey by British newspaper The Daily Mail reported that of 3,000 British people, 58% believed in a supernatural world that included paranormal phenomena such as ghosts and ESP. In place of science, these people have pseudoscience to provide explanations for the natural world. I want to draw the lines out using two terms in a very specific way. On one side is science. I'm not talking about colored liquids and test tubes here. I'm talking about an evidence-based methodology that has mechanisms for self-correction, that is constantly self-critical, that demands proof based on reproducible observations. This includes technologies that can be demonstrated to work and evidence-based approaches to problems. Microchips, space travel, and biotech, yes, but also academic historians, serious scholars of literature, law, or government, any logical approach to the natural world or social sciences. This does not exclude all religious belief, but it does not include fundamentalism of any sort because of its absolute reliance on Scripture. On the other side is what I will call lore. I'm using a very specific definition here, pertaining to the body of knowledge passed down as legend and folk traditions. The lore of a people are beliefs and stories that are not known to be true, but generally believed nonetheless. Common law, natural medicine, folk remedies, creation myths, anecdotal recollections, holy scriptures, popular rumors, and superstition. These are things that are no longer based on facts, but on intuition, oral tradition, or a sort of folk philosophy. There's nothing wrong in lore by itself. It helps to bind a culture together. It's when it substitutes for actual evidence, when it outcompetes or interferes with a scientific approach, that we run into problems.
Yeah, this is the Cutting Edge on IRFM. Yes.
Blessed.
Blessed man.
Yeah, man. Boy, sure, really powerful in the night, in the morning, yeah, man.
That man say.
Yeah, man, you're real. When you go through, man, you go through hard, man, I tell you.
I can't sleep, man.
You can't, listen to me, I said, man, and then me hear you say you go till 3.
Yeah, man, we go right till 3. Straight till 3 we go.
Straight till, yeah, man, the tune, me I tell you, say, the law of attraction is that thing, you know, say, from me I play
the holiday Monday night. Me I try call through, you know. I'm want to hear. Yeah, the tune you start with since night, man. Me I tell you. I say I wonder if Muta would have played that tune then I said in the show there.
Which one of them you talk about?
Bagaboo, man. Clancy, man.
Oh, Clancy Kills.
Yeah, as me hear you play, I drop asleep and jump up, but not too long.
You serious?
No, I'm serious, man. From
the tune put you to sleep?
Me say, man, from the Monday night, I play the tune, them, man. More you play it, man. I hear you play it since night, me I say, yeah, man. Yeah, man, Muta up him collection stay away. Yeah, man, your collection stay away, man. You know how which bridge that talk to you, though?
No, you have to tell me how which bridge that.
Yeah, man, I mean, the shout about the herbs thing in the last year. The last week, me and the bridge that talk about that thing there, you know? Yeah, man, last week, me and him talk about that thing. I tell him, say, it look like him soon get free up, you know. Send him £2,000.
That's one of the 4 thing come on the program they're doing at the 4
I say how long feet a touch place I hear you talk about it. Yeah, man, Malacca and I hear you mention it, man.
Yeah, man, I
tell him himself, I said, nah, man, Muta think I joke, man, but I see her.
No, I don't think I joke. After me hear that, I said, no, that I don't think they stick me my ear, you know?
Yeah, man, I'm straight up like that, man. Muta, I know, me ask you, a sister of mine put in pine, or you get pine for catch. From about last year early, she plant that thing then. And
pine take long to come still, you know?
Boy, may I tell you, man.
No, pine take long to come, man.
Nah, man.
You can plant the top, you know, and you can plant it from the original tree itself, because you know them always have things round them.
Yeah.
You can pop them off and juke them back. But some people plant them from the top, but when you plant from the top, it takes long.
Yeah, well, I stop to plant it from.
Yeah, it takes long to come.
Boy, may I tell you, man, from early last year.
I bet you get, it's when pine come up, it have some little things round it, like little sucker around them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can pop them off and juke them.
Pop them off and juke them?
Yeah, and juke them. But as I say, pine kind of take a little while to come still.
Take a little while?
Yeah, man, it take a little while to come.
Take long, man. Take long, boy. Really take long. But big up on the program, though, Muta. Really edifying, you know?
Yeah, man, give time.
I would have loved to play, if you have it. I know you have it still. Yeah. Every nigga is a star.
All right. You mean Big U tune?
Yeah.
The original one.
One of the version, them. Any one of the version.
All right, sir. All right.
All right, Muta, give thanks.
Yes. Fine. Serious thing that.
From a genetic standpoint, how do you feel about the God gene that because 90-some% of the people in the world are religious or do believe in religion? How do you explain that from a human or genetic point of view?
I think I probably hesitate to talk about a God gene. There does seem to be a universal tendency for all cultures, for all peoples, to invent gods. And they may differ in detail, but I think I'm right to say anthropologists will tell you that all peoples have gods of some sort or another. Doesn't mean all individuals do, because individuals in any one society may escape from that. But it is a kind of universal feature of humanity, perhaps not quite as universal as sexual desire, but it's sort of like that. So I think there is a genetic tendency to behave in some sort of a way which you might call religious. I prefer to say that it's a psychological predisposition which often manifests itself in the form of religion, but doesn't necessarily have to. And there could be a whole collection of psychological predispositions which together, collectively, lead to religious belief. Things like obedience to authority. And you could easily imagine a genetic basis for obedience to authority which might actually have a Darwinian survival value. It might actually benefit, perhaps especially children, to believe what their parents tell them, what authoritative elders of the tribe tell them. Because if they don't, they might do something dangerous. walk into a fire or over a cliff or something. So a genetic tendency to have a psychological predisposition to believe authority. There might be other ones as well. That's the kind of thing that could manifest itself as religious belief under the right conditions. After all, a child who's been told to do something sensible, like don't pick up snakes, the rule of thumb that's actually genetically coded for wouldn't be don't pick up snakes. It would be believe your parents. And the rule of thumb that says believe your parents would have no way of distinguishing good advice like don't pick up snakes from silly advice or time-wasting advice like kneel down and pray to the great God of the mountains 5 times a day or something.
Well, do you think that religious belief has anything to do with survival?
I think that the psychological predispositions that have led to religion, like obedience to authority, do have something to do with survival, yes. Whether religion itself has something to do with survival, I don't know. It might have, but that, of course, wouldn't make it true. It would just be an interesting fact. It seems to me that to say what I've just said, which is that I can't know that there's no God, but I think it's the same as fairies, that's a sort of cautious thing to say. I'm not saying there's definitely no God, but the arrogance of a religious person who just knows, not only knows that there's a God, but knows it's this God, it's the Christian God, it's the Trinity, and the Virgin Mary was born of a virgin. I mean, they've got it all written down pat, and they've got absolutely not a shred of evidence for any of it. That's arrogance.
Yourself an atheist?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, I think it means, it could be taken to mean somebody who's absolutely convinced that there is no God. And that would be going too far for me because I'm not absolutely convinced that there are no fairies. But I put gods in the same category as fairies. There's an infinite number of things that you could say, well, you can't disprove that. But you don't waste your time saying, oh, well, I'm agnostic about fairies, I'm agnostic about unicorns. You say, until somebody comes along with a good persuasive reason to believe in fairies or unicorns, then I'm not going to waste my time believing in them. And that's the sense in which I would call myself an atheist. I'm an agnostic about gods in the same way as I'm agnostic about fairies, which means that for all practical purposes, since I'm also an a-fairyist, I'm an atheist.
Often atheists are accused of being arrogant and sort of overly aggressive.
We're strident. You can't use the word atheist without preceding it with strident. We're always strident. I treasure Julia Sweeney's anecdote, the actress who does a one-woman show called Letting Go of God, I think it is. And she's describing her gradual escape from the Roman Catholicism of her childhood, and she finally did escape, and she called herself an atheist, and this got into the papers. And her mother rang up in a sort of panic and said, well, I don't mind you not believing in God, but an atheist? There is a certain amount of that left over. But as for arrogance, if I could just come back on the arrogance, it seems to me that to say what I've just said, which is that I can't know that there's no God, but I think it's the same as fairies, that's a sort of cautious thing to say. I'm not saying there's definitely no God, but the arrogance of a religious person who just knows, not only knows that there's a God, but knows it's this God, it's the Christian God, it's the Trinity, and the Virgin Mary was born of a virgin. I mean, they've got it all written down pat, and they've got absolutely not a shred of evidence for any of it. That's arrogance. It's the arrogance to say, yes, this is definitely a Trinity. It's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. The Virgin Mary was born of a virgin. Jesus rose on the third day. All that kind of thing they're absolutely convinced of, with no evidence at all. Now that's arrogance.
When you have a problem, when something, and I just assume since nobody gets a pass, that you've had crises in your life, that you've had suffering in your life and pain. What gets you through when you don't have a God or a faith?
There's no obligation for anything to get you through. I mean, maybe nothing gets you through, and I wouldn't put myself in that category. But even if I did, that wouldn't be a good reason to believe in God. I had an Australian friend who said he was trying to explain why it is you see so many old people in church, and he said, "Cramming for the final." What gets me through? I mean, friends, the good fellowship, the arm around the shoulders, the comfort of real human companionship, the sympathetic look in the eye, the sympathetic smile, the squeeze of the hand. These are all immensely important. These are real, solid, warm human beings, not imaginary friends.
Have you ever felt a transcendent moment in your life?
Frequently, yes. Looking up at the Milky Way, especially in the southern hemisphere, looking down a microscope, looking through a telescope, just simply contemplating the Grand Canyon, the depth of geological time that's displayed before you when you look at masses of geological strata, looking at fossils, transcendent in the sense of the sort of upwelling of emotion that you get when you contemplate vastness of space, vastness of time, vastness of complexity in living things.
REFM, thought-provoking, always smoking, lyrics like a bazooka. You are listening to Mutabaruka.
Well, the Virgin has every nigga that style, but we are playing the original version. But we're going to come to the original one. Yes. I mean, the cover, sorry. Yes. Cutting Edge.
Give thanks to life and keep off life. When your next student, them listen.
All right, sir. Give thanks, man.
DJ Kev.
Yeah, man. I know you, man.
The
Oklahoma man with the phone card. We're gone way over above everybody else's phone card.
Alabama. Actually, I Florida. I'm there now, still on Ireland there, you know.
Weird. Oh, you just all over the place, Rasta?
That's cool, man. If you them two clip they play a while ago, what name of them? I want them now. What name?
The clip of me play?
Yeah.
You know, so I have to go back and look for me take it off at the top there, you know, I have to go back and look, you know.
Alright, when you do it, just mention it on the program, yeah?
Name, one of them name. Yeah.
The boss the brains now, man.
No, me not. How you talk about my boss? Wait, you think me out so you boss my way because you have me for something? You mad, but me not boss my brains, Rasta. One name, the arrogance of religious persons.
Okay.
By a Richard Dawkins. And one name, learning to think critically.
Learning
to think critically is one of them. And the other one name, the arrogance of religious persons.
Thank you. I have some strength.
Richard Dawkins. All right, sir. Give me the strength.
Yep. Yeah, you see, you Romian Green at Oklahoma, I put up most of the program on YouTube. Like me that tell you last week.
Romian Green?
Him, yeah. Yesterday I talked to him, I tell me, say, you see, since him start this stepping years last year, April, the amount of things them we have achieved since them time, and youth are just 25, right? Start all the more trucking company, and I say, you Mutabaruka spark them vibes there.
And put that on YouTube?
No, I mean, I'm just a reason.
Oh, yeah, I'm a reason, yeah. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm show me, say, I'm not calling in, I'm just record them, I'm just want other people to hear it too.
It motivate him.
Yeah, so me I said, you know, the things about advice in the wilderness, you know?
Yeah, all right. But we realize that still. We realize that, man.
Yeah, man, likewise to motivate me and my sister to deal with on a spiritual journey, you know,
All right, give thanks.
People say you move towards the lock in your here and you get a fight from certain people. But you see people that oppose you, them have a cigarette and smoke in front of you.
And that may I say too.
In your life.
But little more, them are going to lock for them here too and say it's a fashion.
You know, see. And you see the Jim Jones that thing, that's a terrible thing, man. I just check it out and I say, no, man.
Oh, are the first you hear about it?
I hear about Jim Jones that I pour in them and thing, but I never really sit down and look into what I'm really do.
Yeah, man, the man make about 300 people take poison, man, and kill themselves, man. In the name of the Lord.
There's 900 people, man.
Oh, 900? You know, me as there, I said 300.
And 276 were children.
Yeah.
Pull it up if it's dead body laid down.
Yeah, man, a serious thing in a Guyana, man. Him just call all of them in the name of Jesus, man. Because I'm going down there in the name of Jesus, you know. And them get the people them so wind up and hook like up, brainwash. Missionary. Yeah, man, that them just take the poison and just commit suicide, man.
Yeah, because I say like them all come kill off the children them and this are the only way.
Yeah, them can't escape.
Cyanide, they don't have next poison.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's serious thing, that, man. Yeah, man, that's why I mentioned it in the poem. But I guess nobody now.
At university, this one we are listening to Cutting Edge, you know, man. Yeah. University, because everything we are write down and we check out the operation now too. There was the next serious thing again, man.
Why you're not easy? You're not easy.
Every car is there now, Muta. You have to get there. People think I lie, I tell you know.
Yeah, we say you go check out the operation now to say the man them set up something for Castro, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Them did a plan to kill them own people, you know, for spite Castro, you know.
Yeah, that me I say too.
Yeah, man.
What's that thing? Alright, now me print them off and me I say, me I go have them in my camp, police or see me, go like say, wait. What kind of
plan something?
This against
you never know, say, them did have a thing, them, this Tuskegee experiment. You ever hear about the Tuskegee?
Yeah, me know that in Alabama.
Where them inject 300 black people with syphilis.
With syphilis.
And I create experiment for them. And it's a woman find out, you know, and bust it out, you know. That years after in the 90s there, when Bill Clinton come apologize for it.
Apologize. After the people them done that.
Yeah, man. And then them have a next one where them used so, like in a East LA there, them used so carry like a van load of gun in the ghetto and just left the van there at the middle night. And when the youth them come and see the van in the morning and open it, appear gun in there. And so them distribute gun amongst the youth them. By left a van load of gun in the area. Yeah, man. Them used to do that, man.
To break down and cause political unrest.
Yeah, man.
Some different.
Yeah, so that them do in a Watts and all them places. Them do them thing there in a Watts. In a East LA. Them places where you find. And in a San Francisco. Oakland.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oakland,
the man them just drive a big 15-seater van in there. Full it a pure gun, man. And left it there, man. Every youth get a gun there, so. To shoot one another.
I tell you, man. So let's check out the thing then. Before me go, me have a friend, me I try to get her to log in on the Cutting Edge to work over you take the Yannick 1000. I tell her to call her name for she list to radio.
You name the sound like me book up that name there already somewhere, you know.
Yeah, I said, me not listen to radio, you know, me can't listen to that, so me call the name, you better listen next week.
Alright, alright, sir.
Alright, look more we have step. Hey, the morning give you an extra hour on Cutting Edge, you know, 4 o'clock you come off.
Cutting Edge, no, at 3 o'clock.
No, man, that next hour, man.
No, me can't put on no call. What do you think of my radio station, Rasta? What you talking about, man?
I feel it.
Alright, sir, give thanks.
Greetings, mother.
Yes, Cutting Edge.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, I hear you, man.
Yeah, man, this is Clive, a.k.a. Chris Zogo, you know. Well, you can give me a minute to make a talk to your listeners, them. Yeah, man, this, I talk to Muta listeners from Jamaica, US, Britain, and the world, you know. Especially the one them on YouTube and Butte-based Roman channel. You know, for over 20 years, Muta, I highlight the problem them and I give solutions. But, you know, I face black people, but Muta alone can't do it alone, you know. But all we do, I think listening, we do, we talk and we complain amongst ourselves and pass blame. And I with the government, white man, rich man, and Jah and Jesus to solve them. Black people, if you know, say, and a responsibility that other people solve them problem, you know. And you know, say, the man we have been put by his neck, now take it off unless you lick it off and thump him in the face and step in a thing throat. Government are do good, you know. Cause you see them a drive Pajero and the regular artists them alright cause them don't make it. And you see them a pop champagne, flat BMW and a be a big mansion, but you know, them not be no factory for employ, you know. The problem that I face working and poor class don't affect them. I can't believe how fool wanna be, you know. They wait for same people who cause the problem to fix it. We complain about foreigner buy up Jamaica, but instead we buy up Jamaica, we buy up foreign goods. You don't know where no things say then get the money from. I see the money where no buy certain goods then use back and come buy up Jamaica to use against you. We complain about Monsanto, but we shop at the supermarket all the time. And we don't even try to create our own supermarket that we sell our own organic foods. So we leave it up to them to solve our problem with them create. Marcus Garvey say, if we can't do what other races do, we don't deserve to die. And that is exactly what happened to me right now. If we can't own the wholesale like the Chinaman, we don't deserve to stay poor and jobless. If we can't own the multinational like the white man, we will stay at the bottom of the political and economic system and beg IMF. If we can't own the big farm like Monsanto, we deserve to die from cancer and death of famine. Muta give you enough solution to the problem, but Muta, you alone don't have the money to solve a big problem, yeah. But if we put the money together, we can create the big man, big corporation, or big business that will represent our interests and agenda to work to solve our problem. I say, me don't say already, if 1,000 a Muta listener put $1,000, that's $1 million US. 100 million Jamaica can set a foundation, start a business. We are going to invest in building and expanding black businesses like farm, supermarket, car creator, transportation, etc., which will provide wealth and jobs amongst our own by ourselves. Talking and complaining is good, because it highlights the problem. But it's time to build business and structure to solve the problem that we complain about so much. Every race have them structures set up. That is why you can see Chinese come from China, set up shop, and stock it out with all Chinese made goods. All a black man know to do is just be a buyer. You can't even blame the Chinese, because you're not doing it for yourself anyways. My solution, I know the be-all and all, but it's one thing that is in your power to do and can create a system that will outlast us all alive now, Muta is the only man in Jamaica I feel that is trustworthy. That is why I am willing to invest $1,000 US in him to set up a business to build our system. There must be at least, 1,000 of him listeners who believe in real self-reliance. If not, I guess black Jamaican is doomed to want to be beggars. $1,000, I don't know, because why? Because Jamaicans spend more than that on ganja, liquor, bleaching cream, clothes and car and big house, etc. Just overconsumption. If you don't have 1,000, then you know what? Can't get 10 people to join you as one then. So I want all the serious Muta listeners them to email muta@irfm.net. I call up and tell them, say, you're ready to invest in him to build your phone system. So that me want to say the people in the Muta.
Blessed man, give thanks, brethren.
Yeah, man, blessed man.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Cutting Edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you there, man.
Thank you, pa.
Start the brethren.
Yeah, we love what the brethren is there, Love it. Yeah. So, you can call me in, Yeah, man. You want to address that thing about the color thing,
What kind of thing?
The color thing, we had an issue with our color.
Okay.
We don't love our color.
Okay.
We don't love our blackness. And we've been bombarded with the Western culture, so we don't love ourselves no more. So, we want to touch kind of little thing. The Mama saying here, as above, so below. So, what is it? In the spiritual realm, in the habitation of souls, degree of your knowledge dictates what kind of color you reflect. The lowest, the students, the beginners, the young souls reflect a white color. All the other advanced souls reflect a more yellowish, reddish color, and the masters reflect a bright blue color. So, just imagine, black, in the habitation of souls. Yeah, so, stop loving yourself. I know that you are the first. See? Yeah, and another thing I want to say, we need to start do the legwork for our kids in being friendly with the bookstore and the library. Do the legwork and bring the books in your home, and if you have to bribe the kids them to learn, that's what you have to do, because we have no friends and we're tired of waiting. We're tired of waiting. We ain't waiting on Jesus no more. We ain't waiting on the bus no more. In order for you to free your mind, you got to be enlightened in your head, in your heaven. And you ain't going to do it just standing around, because in order for Marcus Garvey to talk, walk and talk like he did, he had to read, he had to go to the books, and he told you this. So you stay there standing around, you're going to be in the same condition 5 years from now. Worse. So, I tell you, man.
Yeah, man, we hear it, man. We hear it. We hear it.
Give thanks.
Give thanks, brethren. Yes. Think I get emotional upon the program, yeah. Not both girls. Grace Jones. Corporate cannibals. Corporate cannibals. We've gone over the time. I know it's 7 minutes past 2, but we are go 2 to 3. Yes. Yeah.
What up?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions I want to ask you. One time I have the privilege, a friend of mine was doing a show, and it was with the Mali, I think it was the Mali kids. I noticed they, everywhere they go, they burn frankincense and myrrh. Why do you know the reason why?
Well, frankincense and myrrh is a purification, you know. Frankincense is used well in Ethiopia. One time it was more precious than gold. Frankincense, you hear about the frankincense and myrrh, the gift for the wise men them give Jesus in the Bible. You know, in Ethiopia, at one time, frankincense, as I said was more precious than gold. It was a very important part of rituals, you know, where them use it to purify your house, purify your surroundings. You know, it's just something where people use. It's like people when you burn, it's incense. It's an incense, you know.
So you can just burn it on a daily basis.
Yeah, man. If you have enough, yeah. Well, me never run out of it yet. Me always have frankincense and myrrh.
Okay. No, yeah, all right. Because I have it, but only thing to know,
you can't drink it too, you know.
Yeah?
You can drink it too.
Really?
The frankincense. Yeah, man, you can drink the frankincense too, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
I never know that.
Where you think frankincense is? Where you think it is?
To be honest, I don't know what it is.
Okay. It come off a tree, man.
So how it get in that?
Well, amber, you can't say this. Ask about amber too. Amber. You ever look on a mango tree yet?
Yeah.
And you ever chop a mango tree yet and see the stain drop on, and then it just get stiff.
It get brown.
Yeah, and it gets stiff. Like it can't. It almost crystallize.
Yeah, me sit there, me know where you're talking.
Well, I saw them things they get crystallized, you know. Amber, frankincense, all of them get crystallized and stay that way there, get hard. But as I said, there was a big where you hear them talk about Sheba, Solomon and Sheba and Sheba.
Yeah.
One of the things them that she travel with, enough was frankincense for sure wealth, you know. When she go to Jerusalem, according to them, the wealth that she had is where frankincense, the value of frankincense. In them area there, in Saudi Arabia and in Yemen, frankincense was big thing, man, like salt. If you go in a certain place, I know in Ethiopia, salt is still used as a trading thing, you know, like money. Yeah.
And the next thing I want to ask you again, you see, like, how do you, I don't know, because it's like me, I meditate something, and I'm like, from what they may say, I'm wondering, like, how would you go about, like, get in touch with your ancestors in terms of spiritual?
I am my ancestor.
Oh, okay.
I am my ancestor, man. You hear me say that all the while, if you listen to me all the while. How I get in touch with my ancestor is that knowing and understanding the past and see how it relates to my future and my present. I am drawing from my past, my history. You know, as Marcus Garvey said, people without a knowledge of them history like a tree without root. Yeah. So we have to draw from that root and bring it forward here. So when you hear I is my ancestor, you listen to. Because if it was my ancestor, I wouldn't be here. It's a reciprocation of understanding and consciousness. We are transcend time and space. So I'm not looking for no ghosts or dopey. When I call upon my ancestors, I call upon I. I am the person that I have been waiting for.
Oh, so in other words, it's like, so.
In other words, you, I is the same I and I what was there from the beginning.
Oh, so it's just a continuous.
Yes, there's not new here.
Oh.
What was is and what is was. It's just so. There's nothing new that is happening. It's like a 360-degree cycle. It just keep going round and round until you can understand it clearly. Then you jump off. You know, what I am doing now was passed down through my ancestral legacy. And I am just creating that space now for others recognize them ancestral legacy. You know, I don't look for Duppy. I don't look for another Marcus Garvey if he come. I don't look for Moses or a Jesus or a whatsoever you talk about. I don't look for them things if they come back here, so. Because what they did is what I am supposed to be doing now. And greater too.
Yeah.
All right,
you
sir.
Know, but yeah, me respect it, Muta, and you know, me I tell it to boy, Jano, it's like, but then at the USA, and you know, as much as me have to get up a man and all of them things, like we are all ahead of you. Boy, me I tell it, say you do a lot, and you know, that's why you know, so you have to just keep the fire burning and really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Give thanks. Give thanks.
Right,
yes. Yours truly and Ezra coming through. This is the extended version of the Cutting Edge. Morning.
Yeah, Muta.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to talk about the reality where I face the youth them where in the ghetto. You get me, sir?
May I hear you, man?
Yeah, so the reality where I face now is it a come off of the same slavery thing. Because we must run in the West where we definitely come from slavery. Joel Chambers is from Central Village, you know, the artist. All right. When time we get independent, enough of the black people them never plan to work back on the plantation no more. So the China people them get invited and the Indian people them get invited. In Jamaica, them get a chance to work and get paid. And when they work over, them can always go back at them yard, or them get them plane ticket to go back, or them get land if they're willing to stay. black people never get that same way. So we still underneath the slavery after effect, Muta, by financial slavery. So the dollar bill a slavery, because when the people worry about the bills and all these things we have to pay, it's a financial slavery from the IMF and from the monetary fund that will lend the people a money to. So Muta, when you see a youth out of the ghetto really, I try his best to come out. You have to do something creative. And when you creativity within yourself, you talk about yourself and you talk about the things that uplift you as a human. It seems like, say, you know, if you have a voice. And nobody life is important than the other, because life is life. So we know, I say, it's a unity we need in terms of creating a job base. I hear a better call it that say we have to create something in order to earn. Because we talk about the problem and the problem faced every day. But we have to earn. We have to earn in order to get yourself out of this quagmire, to get land and all these things. I'm going to give thanks to the program I had the motors, I say, because out of them.
Yeah, man, a good utterance, man. A good utterance.
I say it affects deeply, so you have to creative. But when you creative as a ghetto youth, it seems like, say, you know, if you have a voice and you know if you can talk to yourself.
Yeah, well, we give the voice right on a program, yeah, that we do.
Yeah, I'm going to give thanks. They create them platform, yeah, and the years they do it. I mean, I listen over the years. I'm glad you get another extension of the program.
All right,
like,
so
do me good.
Yes.
So when me a paint, me can listen it and go through. So I give thanks for the extension. I said, a month, yeah, my month. Me a month, yeah, man.
All right, sir.
14.
Take it, man. Take it.
Yeah,
your
so
own.
I start celebrating from the first, you know.
Yeah.
You know?
Left some for me, though. Left some of the month for me.
Yeah, so I give thanks to the strength, Muta.
Yeah, man. Give thanks,
man. It still need the creativity for the youth, them, the job employment, creative. That's the thing we can get out of.
All right, yeah.
Give thanks and praise the life. I just... Yeah, Muta.
Yeah, listen to the radio, brethren. Stop listening to the radio now, man.
Yeah, man. You must know. The brethren just reads up reason a while ago. I man love the reason from Central Village, see?
Yeah.
This is Special Lion. It's I would call you about the tune and them plant of a vineyard, see? Yeah, man. This is from 1960, the first recording night, was King Tubby's. See? And a long time ago, I wait and can't get a chance. If you believe in yourself, don't you think you can get what you want, right?
Virgin, you listen to your radio, Rasta. I don't understand why you can't understand that. If you listen to your radio, it's going to confuse you. You understand? So you have to just work it out.
What up? Blessed.
Blessed, man.
Yeah, the extension. I love the extension of the program. Yeah, I
don't forever, you know.
Oh, alright.
I don't forever, yeah, I man got to leave.
Okay.
Yes.
Because, you know, I wake up and I say, what wait?
I'm still there, yeah. You think somebody else play Muta.
Yeah, because I say, what wait, you know, because I say, boy, I'm asleep all the whole program.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm just coming in tired, you know, just asleep. You know?
Yeah.
I'm always tuning still. Yeah, it's like, you know what I say, it's like being a vegetarian. It's like, it just make it look and it's like a thinking different, you know. It's like I think more compassionate. It's like it's like just for the whole world in a different light.
Of course.
You know, because to me, when I eat certain like animal product, it's like it blocks certain energies.
Yeah, when you say animal, and dead are dead, you know, alive, you know. And,
yeah,
you know.
You know, it's like when I eat plant-based, you just feel vibrant, you know. You just feel energetic, and you just feel it's like you're just in your consciousness, you know.
Yeah.
And you're just aware of everything.
So how long now you gone vegetarian?
You know what? From 2010 though.
2010, yes.
Yeah, from 2010 and right now, I'm not even look back, I'm still going strong.
Yes.
You know, because one thing, when I have a vegetarian still, it's like a lot of people ostracize you. Yeah. And I say, boy,
where you get your protein from? Where you get your protein from? That's the first thing they ask you.
Where you get the protein? It's like protein.
It's like protein will come from meat to them, you know. It's like if you don't go where you can get protein from meat.
I'm always wonder.
Yeah.
You know, because to me, protein everywhere around.
Yeah, man.
You know, even the simple nuts, them.
Yeah, avocado have protein in it enough.
Yeah, but
it's
like it's like the man them make a big issue. You know, I make it become so complex. It's like, to me, it's like the more things simple, and the more they make it become complex.
Yeah, simple things. Yeah, simplicity in life, and life is complicated.
You know, and some people who I tell you to, they're supposed to be some scholars. You know. Yeah. And
well, as scholars, that's what I'm naming as scholars. You know.
Scholars.
Yeah, as scholars. You know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. You talk, brethren.
Yeah, man. Blessed.
Yes. Yeah, man, as scholars, them name. You have to know that.
Yeah, the power.
Blessed, man.
Yes, Muta, earthquake in a mountain, mine here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, we just been able to listen to the air, you know.
Let me just mention your thing, man.
Give thanks, man. Well, it's not too much, you know.
You never hear me mention it?
No, me there rest up, you know.
Yeah, okay, you rest up. You just call me and know in the night you don't mention it.
Yes, patient.
Mention it, man.
Give thanks, man. 9 nights.
Malvern, the 25th of the African Liberation Bingy, yeah, man.
African Liberation Day, the OAU, you know, invite everyone, you know.
Yeah. All right, sir.
Together, you know, one to all and all to one.
Yeah. All right, since two mentioned it already and you're going to mention it again, we don't have nothing else to say. Yeah?
Give thanks, Rastafari.
Yeah, man, give thanks. Yes. We're up on the outers, you know. 25 minutes and we're gone. Give thanks to the moment, at the time, and the energy.
Cutting Edge, Muta.
Yeah, blessed.
Yeah, blessed for turn off the radio for it to clear. I just want to give thanks to the program and the extended version, you know.
Yeah, man, give thanks, man.
First thing I want to know, Muta, how long you go for? Because you say all I go.
We go Africa.
Yeah, but how long you go there for? Them are rebook off some of the program. Where gone?
No, them are going once upon the program and do it. Remember the other day when we go where Ran Mushet to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe Ran Mushet come do it again, maybe, I don't know, maybe Andrea do it, maybe Biggie do it.
Well, Ran Mushet the right person to do it, you know.
Yeah, alright.
Why they have vibes off our poem, right?
Yeah, but you want to know, hold on, the poem is going to take too long, Virgin. The poem got that done, you got done, you know. You have to go bring back with the next poem and come back with the next poem. Here?
I never plan to do no poem. I just
me think you're going to do a next poem. Me think you're going to do a poem.
No,
sorry,
you're a poem.
Sorry.
All my friends are living dead.
Eh? Oh, that poem there.
All of my friends are living dead.
Yeah.
And me there, we shot just fire upon Rosemary and I said blows.
I shot just fire beside you there?
Right as upon Rosemary and I tell her, I said, boy, I'm not moving, I'm still at the same motor.
Yeah.
And I yard me there.
Are you in a yard there?
Yeah.
How much shot you here? More than one?
No, I'm not one shot fire. We not move on.
Okay.
They are watching same way.
You see, right?
I listen this. Explain.
Yeah.
We give thanks in the program where they are listening.
You don't know if a police are...
No, man, I'm not police. Yeah, the dog them gone. They know. I'm a police.
Okay.
Police now. I'm more than one shot. Police no fire one shot only.
Police fire no shot. Police fire no shot.
If you saw for the button of
I chew them can't aim. We one shot find the man, but the whole heap of shot can't find nobody to not kill anything.
Some say black people have to develop and build up yourself, but you know what black people have to go there. You have to stop hate yourself and stop bringing down yourself, you know.
That's what I say.
Because the mind thing are gone, and we are killing off yourself, you know, for sure.
That's what I say.
And why we there talk about one bill system and do all kind of thing. I say, black man have a wholesale beside the whole heap of China wholesale, and believe you me, Muta.
China man
China
prosper.
wholesale them ram.
China prosper.
Get space to get served.
Yeah.
And you want to see two local black people.
Just sit down there and look for everything.
They're not going to buy none from the local black man.
That's
and they're right beside of the wholesale, and more time all cheap on the China people then.
It's a conditioning, man. It's a I will tell you the conditioning with the next tune. And the next tune, I will tell you the conditioning. Blessed man. Cutting Edge. Yes, Cutting Edge.
Yeah, blessed love.
great program, man. Lovely program.
Give thanks, brethren.
Yes, I was just calling to say the tape that you played with the doctor talking about the food last week. It was
Dr. Sibe, S-E-B-I.
Yeah, and it was a typical thing, you know. It's like the things him saying about the food we consuming in today's world. Is it kind of keeping us
sick? Sick. It keep us sick, man.
Yeah, man, keeping us far apart from the reality of what we be. Because I don't hear nobody talk about repatriation again. What go on?
You know, everybody talk about repatriation. What you say, man?
Everybody talk about $1 we have
No, you're not listening, man. You know, you're all Mike and we are talking about repatriation, you know.
Imagine, man. Mike and
I tell you, say, a whole heap of ones that talk about repatriation, man.
Yeah,
you know, go to the place where you know.
Wording. Even if I talk.
Well, I don't know if I tell you, but me hear, every day me hear somebody talk about repatriation.
Because I wonder for the food we are consuming, I keep you distracted from that main goal, you know?
I don't know about the food that distract me, but most of the place where me go is repatriation and reparation is the theme of the program, and how man I work it out. We don't talk about the ganja.
Like improvement on certain news more highlight than certain news, you know?
Yeah, well, you need to go out somewhere to meeting them all over the place.
True, Muta.
Yeah.
But give thanks, Eddie, and keep the work going. Cutting edge, stepping razor, more love.
Yeah, man, give thanks, brethren. Out.
Yes, for that blessings, man.
Yeah, man.
How you doing, man?
I'm there, man.
The bank withdrawal tax.
Yes.
Withdrawal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Them leak that now, you know. Them leak that now. So we don't need to talk about that again. That done gone, you know.
No. But you see, what I say bank withdrawal tax withdrawal.
Okay. I never hear that part. Yeah, them withdraw it. Yes.
Yeah, man. The process of withdrawal is something that your program and the masses need to study and master some more for other things to be withdrawn.
Okay.
Your overs.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You mean for overs, man? I'll stay a long time, man.
Because based on how I hear the minister talk, you know, them realize the masses are the people.
Yes. They have to listen. They have to listen.
Take other things. This one wasn't going to go down. So.
Yeah, they have to listen because that one looked intense.
That one did look really bad. You know what I mean?
Intense. Yeah, man.
So, you know, there are other things, you know, other things that we need to get the same results, but we need to study this one and talk about it.
All right.
The other one you need to talk about when you come forward is the Energy World International people, them, you know what I mean?
All right, Bresson, give thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we say give thanks to the moment, give thanks to the time, give thanks to the energy. Give thanks to the extra 1 hour.